I see you guys have a few questions already, which I will, of course, ask and chat with you about. But without further ado, let's crack on with the game and just get to the character selection process first. Okay, so the name. I'm going to be called. What should I be called? Play Oven. That's a good.
Well,
fantasy name.
Not even last night's storm could wake you. I heard them say we've reached Morrowind. I'm sure they'll let us go.
Oh, we got a guard coming.
Quiet. Here comes the guard.
This is where you get off. Come with me.
Okay. Now, I don't think I've actually rebound any of the controls here. So I've got to I don't know. Should I rebind the controls, or if the controls get a little bit difficult for me, I'll have them rebinded.
Get yourself up on deck and let's keep this.
This is where they want you. Head down to the dock and I'll show you to the census office.
You finally arrived, but our records don't show from where.
Okay, here we are. We're going to check on our. We've got to do our character now. Whilst I am answering a couple of your questions, give me some ideas in the comment section there. Dunestorm, Dark Elf or Breton? Okay, yes. I've often played as a Breton, especially when I play as magical characters. So that's certainly something I'll be doing. Okay, so I'm thinking about moving from Mint to Ubuntu. Should I? It depends. It depends what you're looking for. Ubuntu is obviously the most well-known Linux distribution, desktop at least. And I don't personally like Unity. It drives me up the wall. But there have been a number of people that have said in the comment section of a lot of my videos that it's quite nice. So a lot of it, I think, is contingent on a few factors. One is, do you want the latest and greatest software, or do you want like more up-to-date software? In which case, the latest version of Ubuntu will cover that, whereas with Linux Mint they have a much longer release cycle with smaller semi sort of iterations along the way. The software tends to get a little bit older before they switch it out, but that is in lieu of that's for stability reasons, and Linux Mint is certainly at least as stable as the long-term support releases of Ubuntu. If you were like a fan of the user interface of like Windows 7, then Mint offers up its two primary desktop environments with a very similar interface to that. So if you want something a bit more traditional and a bit more sort of reserved as a distribution, then I would go with Mint. If you want something a little bit brighter, a little bit more colourful, a bit more cutting edge, then maybe Ubuntu. Might be more for you. I mean, the great thing about Linux is that you can test and try. I quite like Linux Mint because it's a little more community focused, whereas Ubuntu is a little bit more on the sort of corporate side of things. There are pros and cons, obviously, to both of them. Like, obviously, corporate distributions have more money behind them. They often have a lot better support. They often have a lot better documentation, but not always, because some of the one of the best pieces of overall documentation of Linux distributions is the Arch Wiki, and the Arch Wiki is bloody fantastic. So, yeah, like I say, it's complicated. Yeah, Antergos is great as well. But with Antergos, very similar to Manjaro, is that you are going to have to roll up your sleeves and fix a few errors. I do actually find with Manjaro and Antergos is that there is like a law of diminishing returns over a period of time with upgrades on, and upgrades, that you'll find things might sometimes get a bit slower, that things might just sort of not work as well as you want them to, and all of that. And therefore you might want to do a reinstall. But that being said, how long that is in between reinstalls is very dependent on the software packages that you've installed and a million other factors. But rolling distributions like Antergos and Manjaro, you have to keep your finger on the pulse, and you have to be a bit more in touch with your operating system. Something like Linux Mint, you can just install it and forget about it in a lot of ways. And then like Ubuntu and the Ubuntu family are kind of the halfway house between that. Hello from Romania. Awesome. Hi. I know someone from Romania. And also, OpenMW. for free BSD. That's pretty awesome. Does anyone use BSD on the desktop? I think I did for a spell of about a month when I was at university, but I got to admit it didn't seem to offer anything Linux. You know, Linux seems to do everything better than the BSD. That being said, though, I do quite like that there is a strong competing free kernel with a significantly different license. So I would like to see more desktop stuff done with BSD, but I think the BSD's license is so open that it often sometimes fails to protect itself. So, since Dunestorm is the only one that seems to be giving me direction on character development, I will be... Okay, so I've got a basic idea of what kind of character I want to play. I want to play something like a witch hunter. I want to have a spear and I want to have some magic. So it's like a hedge wizard or a traveling wizard kind of thing. So, but they will have destruction as well. So I never play as a dark elf. Let's go female. I usually play female in games. Just, I don't know, it seems to have been a habit I picked up like 5 or 6 years ago. And I seem to have stuck with it. Kind of like playing as female characters. Let's see. These faces. Yeah. What kind of haircuts do we have? Yep, that works as well. Okay, let's play a dark elf.
Great. I'm sure you'll fit right in. Follow me up to the office and they'll finish your release.
Yeah, I can't see the sort of the instinctive benefits of a BSD. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to change the key bindings on this one. Toggle point of view. Run, always run. Caps lock, sneak. Let's go. Ready weapon. F and R. Okay. Alright. Seems good.
Ah, yes. We've been expecting you. You'll have to be recorded before you're officially released. There are a few ways we can do this, and the choice is yours.
Okay. What do I think of Elementary OS? I think the thing is, to me, I just list it as one of those other Ubuntu unofficial spin-offs that have developed their own desktop environment. I was not particularly enamored by the Elementary OS desktop. I can see that it has a degree of elegance and simplicity to it, but it doesn't offer anything that I don't see it as offering anything that Mint or Ubuntu don't already, but other people do. So, you know, my opinion is not really important in this. Okay, so let's create a custom class. Okay, so I'm going to call her a hedge wizard. A little bit of role playing going on. So that does mean magic. I used to love playing as stealth characters, and I feel like I've drifted into magic when I play these kind of games. So we're going to be picking, of course, intelligence. Do you think willpower or possibly endurance? Willpower or endurance? Willpower or endurance? Ability to resist magic and our maximum fatigue. Endurance affects your starting health, health per level, and your maximum fatigue. Okay, I don't know. We'll come back to that one. Major skills. Okay, major skills. We're going to be... Oh, damn it! I can never settle on light armor or unarmored. Illusion's always good. Conjuration. Alteration. We're gonna go... Destruction. Yeah, it certainly does bother me that like Elementary do certainly push the pay. They give the impression that there is like a paid factor to it. The Bretons do have a spell absorb, which is very overpowered in Oblivion. Not as overpowered in this one, but it's certainly quite good. But then in Dark Elves have like 75 resist fire, and I would say that's equally as overpowered in Morrowind. But yes, I think that. But to be fair to Elementary, they do take that money and they do donate it upstream. So it's not super greedy. It's just a little bit aggressive and a little bit assertive. But I get what you mean. It does make me feel a little bit uncomfortable because one of the things I do like about Linux and open source is the universality of it, is that it's freely available to all. Because that is, it's one of the, like, education is one of the great equalizers of society. Is you've got to make sure, like, to have a really like equal society, you got to make sure that everyone's knowledgeable and clued in about it. Oh, you're right. Conjuration is good. Oh, that's a good one for Conjuration. Good. Good points. Good point there for Dunestorm. Conjuration means that I don't necessarily have to carry a weapon around with me. Unarmored spear, conjuration, alteration. Oh, hey Jenny, how's it going? Was that you who just buzzed me on Twitter? I need to check that one. Oh, are you working tomorrow? You might be a... Oh, okay. Let's see. Minor skills. We'll go with... Destruction is a good minor skill to fall back on. Light armor we can go back on. So we can have like half light armor, half unarmored. Mercantile? I feel like mercantile, like a traveller would be would have some kind of bartering skills and some like knowledge of the 7 a.m. start. I feel for you, Jenny. I can't even remember the last time I had to get up at 7. I think it was like 6 months ago. Okay. Enchant, unarmored spear, illusion, conjuration, alteration. Do you think acrobatics and hey Polychron Alexandru, I wonder if I pronounced that correctly. I just sort of committed to that. All right, let's do a little bit of athletics, a little bit of acrobatics, which is in stealth. Nope, yep. Would be nice if they put them in alphabetical order. Right, we're a hedge wizard. Magic, intelligence, spear, illusion, conjuration, alteration. Boots of blinding speed are good, but they are very overpowered. Oh, in my eyes, what would make the perfect Linux distribution? To me, it would focus all around how software was installed. So, like the big things that would focus it would focus on. It would only have 2 versions. It would have a heavyweight and a lightweight. So the heavyweight would have something like KDE on it. The lightweight would have something like LXQT on it. It would have something like Docker, ideally. And that would be like a very intrinsic part of it. So you'd have like the base operating system, then you'd have something like Docker on top. So the base operating system would be directly from the distributions repository, and then there would be like sandboxed apps on top of it. It would require probably a little bit more pulling power from an average computer, but it would also mean that you would have a lot less dependency errors, you'd have a lot less problems upgrading and things like that, because I would try and make like as much of the software separate from the operating system, not massively dissimilar from something like Android or Docker. Something a little less sort of out there. It would be maybe it would run through Arch, and it would take snapshots of Arch, and then it would tie into the AUR, but the AUR would be there would be some kind of safety between the AUR and the rest of the operating system. There we go. That would be like basically my ideal operating system. I only went with KDE and Qt just because they would both be sort of tied into the Qt environment. I could have gone with GTK, but all the best apps are put into Qt. And I would make an extra effort to try and make some Qt versions of good apps. I don't know what the LFS project is, or at least I'm missing that initialism. Anyway, sorry guys. Right, I think I've got everything here. A class description. Okay, well, he was a wizard. And he lives in a hedge. There we go. The hedge wizard. Magic. Intelligence, willpower. So, spear is endurance. Illusion is personality. Conjuration is intelligence, so we will need intelligence. Speed, cool.
Very good.
Very good.
The letter that preceded you mentioned you were born under a certain sign. And what would that be?
I'm surprised you have not. You're not more familiar with Morrowind, Jenny. So this is before Skyrim is Oblivion, and before Oblivion is Morrowind. This is like the first Elder Scrolls game that really kind of had mass appeal, because before that you had Daggerfall, which was really quite good, but it was really buggy and really kind of like it was a very nerdy game in the traditional sense. And then Arena is even more so than that. I kind of have a special soft spot for Arena as well, but it's very, very old school. Ooh, so we can have this. I quite like the steed, a bit of speed there. The shadow, if we ever need to turn invisible just for 60 seconds. Just as whenever I've picked the shadow, I've always picked the shadow as like a contingency measure, never as an actual play mechanic, because I don't like using star signs as play mechanics, because star signs, in lore are random. So yeah. The serpent. Yeah, again, this is like this changes too much of the game mechanics. The only one that I do specifically like for that is the Atronach. Spell absorption 50 points, but then you've got stunted magicka. This is very, very, very overpowered if you combine it with a very either combat heavy battle mage or just a combat character, because 50% of all spells are absorbed. This is by far my favourite. Best soundtrack, best story, best sort of gameplay mechanics. Absolutely love it. I even quite like the combat system, even though it is very few people do. Mage just gives you a straight out stat boost. And the apprentice gives you an even bigger bonus, but it gives you a 50% weakness to magicka. I mean, people that have Elder Scrolls fans always love the love Morrowind. Like Morrowind is definitely, in my point, the high point. I have a copy of Skyrim, but since obviously I ditched my Windows partition, I don't play it so much. Oblivion works lovely on Wine, so I might play that again. I love Oblivion, but I do find that to be far too dumbed down for what it should be. These are not games for stupid people, but and I think Bethesda are trying to just capture this mass appeal and succeeding. In all fairness, they are very much succeeding, but they're as someone that kind of likes the more intricate nature of the gameplay mechanics, I do feel that this is more fun. So I'm going to go with the apprentice. I'm going to take that weakness to magicka because I got a spear. And also, why don't they took out spears.
Interesting. Now, before I stamp these
Best
papers,
weapon.
make sure this information is correct.
Because the spear, why, you have distance, you have pointing and distance. They're the two most deadliest things. Okay, so our name is Playoven. We're a dark elf. Hedge wizard. Because also, I mean, we do have a resistance to fire. So we're not super stunted by the magic. We're the apprentice. What's our intelligence? Start off with 50 intelligence, that's pretty good. Start off with 50 speed, that's pretty good. We don't have the best major stats, but that's never something that we should really concern ourselves with. So, Dark Elves are traditionally the Battle Mage class. And I really love what they did with elves in Morrowind. They didn't just make them like feebler but smarter humans. Like they actually made elves a lot more complex, which is brilliant. And then like dark elves are the usual battle mage class, but this is yeah. Let's go with it. We now have a stats menu. Yeah.
Show your papers to the captain when you exit to get your release fee.
Shall I take the... Shall I nick the plate? That's our character so far. Ooh. Okay.
You've made your last mistake.
So what you can do now is you can drop the platter. He'll come over.
Continue through to the next building.
He'll give us a telling off, but he won't send us to prison. Go, what are you doing? Well, let your actions go for now, but once you're released, stuff like this will get you arrested again. Is that so? Ah, this is yeah, this is hitting all the nostalgia nerves. Okay, so now that once I've stolen it and they gave me a telling off, I picked it up and they were cool with it. All right, we can do all this kind of stuff, can't we? We can do some lock picking and all that. Oh yeah, I usually pick lock picking, but I didn't today. Go get the old ring. Oh, Fargoth. Fargoth, the most... Is he the most well-known player in... Okay, I'm going to skip through all the story. I'm not going to be reading through the story. Those of you that know it, and those of you that probably don't want me to read through all of this. Okay.
Your papers, please.
Have I not given you my papers? And also, if you're a super good thief, there's a key right there to the warehouse opposite the way. We're not going to be particularly thievy, I don't think. Just, or at least at this early on. Oh.
Hurry this up, will you?
He doesn't like us, does he? But have we seen his ring? Yep, here you go. Okay, so what's in our inventory? Directions to Chaos Cassades. We've got the limeware platter. Value 650. Oh man, we've got Ancestor Guardian. Sanctuary, 50 points for, on selves. Dunmer are always proud of themselves. So we've got, that's not a bad power. Can we use it once a day? Yeah, I think it's a power and there's lesser powers that you can use more often. So we've got Bound Dagger. What we really want is a Bound Spear spell.
Go ahead, stranger.
Do any of you guys know off the top of your head where which Mage's Guild has the Bound Spear spell?
Go ahead, stranger.
Damn, that would be so cool in real life. Just for the soundtrack to this, Jenny, is amazing. What I sometimes just go to YouTube and just type in the Morrowind soundtrack and just listen to it. It's the best soundtrack. Some of the covers are good as well. Right, Ariel, let's check this out. I highly recommend it. I think you'd really like it, Jenny, and it would be good for your... I think you'd like... might quite enjoy it on the Twitch streams. You can also play third person in this, but it's not quite as nice. What kind of stuff do we have here? A spear. Come on, you must have a spear. Oh, an iron halberd, two-handed. So iron spear, thrust is 6 to 15. The halberd is a lot better. We'll do some robes. Hello, Marco Melendez Santiago. Again, have I pronounced your name correctly? I'd be interested to find out if I could. Okay. Journeyman Armourer. Oh, Armourer. Oh no! We'll be... We will be using Conjuration, so we won't need to focus too much on Armourers. The thing is, I have not played OpenMW with Morrowind before in any sort of serious capacity, so I don't know if some of the 420 smoke weed every day. There we go. That's nice. Good.
Please, feel free. Talk at your leisure.
Yes, Outlander?
If you go upstairs of this trade house,
What say you? Don't stand about.
see, this is supposed to be. I missed the S. Marcos Melendez Santiago. I think that's the best I can do. The theme of Skyrim is also up. In fact, more like Elder Scrolls soundtracks from Morrowind onwards, I generally really quite like. I like the Oblivion one a lot as well. So this scout woman here,
Sun,
If you want something, now's the time
we
to talk.
greet you warmly.
she gives you all these directions and information about the houses. Suppose if you particularly wanted to, or watching this in the past, you could read that. Some of the written lore is absolutely superb and fantastic and fabulous. So it is worth watching.
Yes, Outlander?
So this is the third person option. There are quite a lot of mods, especially for the Windows Morrowind. I'm playing without mods today. I may bring in mods, but since this is not a fully completed engine so far, I'm not going to be daft and
Any time now.
and try my luck. It feels like a good 60 frames per second as well. Last time I played the earlier versions, I don't think it was particularly well optimized, but they're getting it's starting to look like a good piece of work. This is a very good one for streaming. You can get this on GOG and Steam for next to nothing, and they're available on many sales. Ooh, a book. Ah! Oh man, I love these things. So this is Tahil. So we can take all his clothes and items, but let's just dispose of the corpse. This is great. This is his journal. This talks about him successfully developing the Scroll of Ikran flight. Shall I? Shall I? I don't know. Let me know. Let me know. Shall I? I'll save and reload, but I can. I might crash. I don't know. Will it crash the game? Kind of feel like it could. I feel like this is just sort of teeter-tottering on on crashing, but I don't know. It's not crashed yet. This is good because you can have a good. There's like very little actual dialogue, just a nice soundtrack to go with it. So this makes it almost a perfect game to stream. Really. So this is the way that one of the ways that we can go. Forgot. Oh, and also, well, that common robe was a waste of 2 gold because. There we go. We are now assuming the identity of some guy we found. So now we are looking for the tax collector. I'm going to do the tax collector mission. I'm just going to do a few missions around here just to get my feel for the game back. Ah, a mud crab. So the thing about the spear, which again, we'll never forgive Bethesda for taking it out of Skyrim. It would have been amazing in Skyrim as well. Really would have. And crossbow. Oh, he's coming for me. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the... Oh, controller support in OpenMW. Always use best attack. There we go. I was well out of fatigue for that. That's why it... Where's the tax collector? The tax collector is very difficult to find. Very difficult to find with the graphics extender on. That's the old school mud crabs. This is OpenMW artificial duality. It works it works well on wine as well. I'm not doing so well, am I? There we go. That was a little better. Tax record and 200 septims. We'll leave his clothes and body there. You can't dispose of the corpse, and when you click dispose of corpse, what it does is it just removes all the items and keeps the corpse there. So what it looks like is you've just found a body in the woods and undressed it. Just because. Really? And I don't think my character would do that. But the Morrowind graphics extender makes this game look absolutely beautiful. Oh, yes, this is where we can get a house very early on. You can get this game via Steam, and you can get this game on GOG.com. Yes. It's not free, but it's very, very, very cheap, and it's on a lot of Steam sales. So you can get it even cheaper than cheap. It's definitely worth what little you pay for it, I can guarantee you that. I have gotten hundreds of hours of play out of this game.
Yes, friend?
The murder of Processus Vitellius. So he's asking us now, did we find any septims on him? Well, be honest, because we're not like a thief, we're not a rogue, we are just a mage, I guess. So 150 hours in a single gameplay. Yeah, I've put 100. I'm sure I've put that kind of time into a game before. I think you have to. Now,
Yes.
This is a wondrous encounter.
What's particularly interesting about my character? My character is going to be a good character. Yes, I'm still on Manjaro KDE, and I am still really enjoying it. I will probably keep it until the new Ubuntu's come out, and I'll probably pick one of those. Maybe I'll try like a week for each of them. So he wants us to find out who done it. Now I know who done it, so I'm going to go straight to them. I'm not going to start. I'm not going to waste your time on base missions. This is the culprit. The murder of Processus Oh, before we ask
You
him,
may speak.
I'm just going to wait an hour. And then just, yeah. What do I want? The murder of Processus Vitellius. Right. So he killed and left his body out to rot. Sorry, mate, that's no excuse for murder. So I gotta do it, mate. He who passes sentence should swing the sword.
Die, Fetcher.
Pokey, 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 pokey. Close combat is not my forte. But you know what is? There you go. Sanctuary. You'll never hit me now. Pokey, pokey, pokey. Pokey, pokey, poke. Never. Ah! Sharp sticks. My only weakness. And this is our house now. Nice. Mercantile up to 16. We can rest. There's little point in doing so though. And there's a poor woman up here who I think is his partner of some variety. So we're going to go and talk to her just because. Just I guess for completion, I guess. If I can find this. I'm drinking a cup of tea at the moment, which is why my controls might not be super on the ball. Oop.
What is this about?
Processes ring. Oh, you found the ring I gave him. Oh, was she was, I think was she with the... Yeah, thanks again for returning it. She's given us a couple of health potions. So thank you. And I believe... That's pretty much how it works in Morrowind, Jenny. Is if you kill someone, you can just live in their house then. Not tried it in real life. Oh, unarmored, nice. Manjaro is based on Arch, effectively, yes. It's got a few extra bits and pieces added in. But yeah, Manjaro is based on Arch. It's a bit more user-friendly version of Arch. It sort of brings Arch to, I would say it's an intermediate distribution. So it's not super simple like Linux Mint or Ubuntu, but it's not super complicated like Gentoo. Oh, Morrowind is certainly not crap. I can't. Who said that Morrowind is crap? Who told you that? Who's been telling you that? No one has been telling you that because it's not true. I mean, the graphics are, you know, obviously. Yeah, it hits my nostalgia bones, but I certainly get that this is not exactly Until Dawn quality facial generation technology. Okay, so he's given us 500 gold for a bit of wandering around, bit of detective work. It is lies and slander. Yeah, 4chan. 4chan hate everything. I remember that time 4chan mistook me for the guy that did the uBlock Origin. No, not the uBlock Origin. The one that was like forked from uBlock Origin. The uBlock thing, and they came and they like started downvoting my videos, and then someone else on that board was like, "You fucking idiots! It's not him. It's someone else with the same first name."
I have a feeling.
I don't know. I kind of get the feeling that happens a little more
very close.
Often than it should. Skyrim is, yeah. I've not even started playing Skyrim. Because, I don't know, it just doesn't catch me. I think whenever I think about starting up and playing a game of Skyrim, or trying to get it to work on Steam, or crossover, Wine, whatever, it's, I always just say, well, I want to play Morrowind again, really.
How are you?
let's sell all the junk, right? You accumulate a lot of junk. Let's sell that. Let's sell that. Sell that. Sell that. Sell that. Sell the crab meat. Dance in the fire. All of these books you can read as well. Wrath's wedding dowry. Common belt. Iron spark sword. How much is this game? I do not know, but it is not very much. And it is regularly marked down on Steam sales. You are right there. Not ordinary in games. This is by Jeremy Soule. Or at least I'm 99% certain it is. And I absolutely love it. It's probably my favourite soundtrack of any game. I've read a number of them. Obviously, I've read the Lusty Argonian Maid, because that's the one everyone reads. Tankard. And of course, I am going to be keeping the Scrolls of Icaran Flight. So I think we're doing okay. And then... Yes, that bug works. This game, I reckon this game is prettier when you've got all the mods on top of it, because you can make it. You can actually. There's a mod called the Morrowind Graphics Extender, which allows you to see right off to the other side of the island, which is amazing. Because basically, one of the things about Morrowind is if I pull up the map, right. So this is Vivec. This is the capital down here. This is Seydanine, my personal favourite village, and where we currently are. This is Pelagiad, which is a fortress, castle. Yes, I would say the Morrowind graphics. Is it graphics extender? The Morrowind overhaul mod is definitely like it. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So much passion has gone into it. I love it. A lot of the books in Morrowind are the same as they transition through various Elder Scrolls games. So this is Vivec and all the various parts of Vivec, and also the cities in Morrowind are so much more interesting, so much better. They're so different. It's just so much more colourful. Yeah, this is running. Of course, it's running on Linux. OpenMW. So even the engine for this game is open source. It's also available on Windows, Mac, and as someone I believe mentioned earlier up, going to be available for FreeBSD. And I've heard rumours, but certainly don't take my word for it, that it may have a mobile port. So yeah, stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Hey, Mr. Data 00, I did see your earlier message. Scott, like I say, I own a copy of Skyrim, have never had the inclination to play it. Whenever I want to play an Elder Scrolls game, it's either Morrowind or Oblivion. There are a few more quests here, but let's keep the pace moving. We've got a bit of money. We've got some nice clothes. Let's take the Silt Strider. There's a mod that actually makes the Silt Strider walk and move, and that's beautiful. Oh, there is a very unstable Android version. If I had a smartphone, I'd be jumping up and down for joy. The controls for this game are not particularly complicated. You know, up, down, left, right, move around, shoot your weapon. That's about the gist of it. You could do it with the touch interface pretty easily. It's not like the control. It's not like you need a particular It's not like you need aim, because everything's done on number. Well, a lot of it's done on RNG. So there are 3 ways we can get there. We can walk, we can take the Silt Strider, or we can take the Scrolls of Icaran Flight and then overshoot by ages and then spend ages walking back. I'm going to take the Silt Strider to Balmorra.
Where would you like to go?
There we go. So it took us some time. See, I do like the... What do I think about the Ubuntu phone? I think that it's in its very early stages. I honestly don't think it will take off. I think Linux has already conquered the mobile phone market in the form of Android. I'd love to see a proper open source iteration of Android, possibly in the form of Sailfish. I like kind of what Firefox were doing before they shut down with their operating system, where they had a very basic phone with web apps, which I felt could have really worked. But I do like the fact they've Firefox have ditched that, and then they've moved on. They're going to be bringing out a cheap tablet, which I think could actually work really well. I'm not a big smartphone person, so to be honest, don't listen to anything I've got to say on smartphone. I don't own a smartphone. So literally my entire opinion of smartphones is based on the philosophy behind the software rather than the pragmatic use of the software itself. Okay, it's getting dark. See, this is quite nice, isn't it? I like the lighting.
Someone watching me. I can tell.
Sometimes I say that just on whenever I'm on my own. Just I'm walking back from somewhere on my own. I'll just say, someone's watching me. I can tell. All right, let's get ourselves a spear. A proper conjured.
Summoned by another. Questions again.
Yeah, let's try and get a conjuration spear spell. I also, do you know what I love as well about, the Morrowind had the little things down. They had them down real tight. Like the Nords are Scottish, which to me they have Scottish accents, which to me makes a lot more sense than the Scandinavian ones. Maybe it's some kind of, I don't know.
I'm listening.
Some sort of like stereotyping or prejudice, but I feel that like Skyrim being a very rough place and the Scottish accent being quite a like the Scandinavian accents are very soft spoken, whereas like Scottish are like a lot, they've kind of got this more assertive tone to them, and I think that would suit the Nords a bit more. Nords are a bit tougher, and I feel like, I don't know. It's just it's a feeling of essence, I guess. Right, who's the conjurer in this? You're the spell maker. Bound boots. Bound longbow. Got paralysis. We've got a fair bit of gold, actually. We've got a decent amount of gold early on in this game. Now, I think, she's a conjurer, but she is also a necromancer. Spell absorption, calm creature. But she only is teaching us necromancy.
Say your needs.
Yeah, you do. You get to see a living Dwemer.
My patience is limited.
Yes, this game has an absolute full story campaign. Sorry if I missed the question going up there. It has a full story campaign. It's an amazing story campaign. I am aware that I'm starting to sound a bit like Donald Trump in the way that I'm selling Morrowind. But it's a fantastic game. I made someone else pay for it. Okay. Let's go to another Mages Guild. Let's go to Aldran. This is Aldran. This is another Mages. See, you can see the difference between the Mages Guild. Are just the atmosphere of them completely changes. The layout, the architecture, the level design. There's so much thought went into such a massive game. You're a student.
What is this about?
What's your trade? I'm a student here. I love the
Under sun and sky, Outlander, we greet you.
No, you didn't miss anything, Jenny. This is old school. If you like old school games, if you like the sort of the Dungeons and Dragons feel of it, you'll love this. This is like one-player Dungeons and Dragons in a way. Well, see, they've done a bit more with the lighting in this engine. These are spells. Sotha's Mirror. I love the religions in this as well.
What's this then?
You can't play it for free, but if you wait for a Steam sale, you will pick it up for like $2. But so it's
The blue plates are nice, but the brown ones seem to last longer.
It's because no one uses the brown ones. The brown ones look rubbish.
Yes, friend.
Right. Who uses brown plates? Right. So I don't think there's a conjurer here. Let's build a success on a small loan of 1,000,000 septims. I feel that would make a great Let's Play series, wouldn't it? Donald Trump in Morrowind. Let's go to Vivek. Vivek has
Yes, friend.
the best mages. Gave me a small loan of 1,000,000 spells. That doesn't make sense. Right. Nothing here.
Anytime now.
Does this book do anything? No. You can always tell if books give you a skill. Hey there, DJ Matt Underwoodsmith. You should ally yourself with the 6th health. Praise Dargother. I would consider it, but they keep running at me naked, and no. I don't want to be like Mr. Politically Correct here, but like charging at someone naked is a bit. It's a bit.
I suppose it is my duty to help those less fortunate than myself.
You appear to have a Pokemon on your head. Okay. Oh, and there's also Joe Bash's library here, so let's go to Joe Bash's library. They've really improved the lighting with this engine. I think so. Either that or my memory is...
Go ahead, stranger.
This guy's the Archmage. What would you like to do? Join the Mages Guild? Oh, yes. Yes. Okay. Do we get more access to spells? Access to more spells now? Because we didn't seem to be short of spells in the first place. Get a bit of a discount. This is barter. Come on, there it was.
Oh, Outlander, did you want something?
Not gonna get. There must be Conjure Spear spell. These robes look like you're constantly being hugged by a spider. I don't know if that's by design or just the how it's panned out. Ah, good stuff, Jenny. No dues to pay. Apparently I'm exempt from them.
All right, I'm listening.
What have we got here? Paralysis is possibly quite good. Alright, let's do paralysis 5 seconds on touch. If a creature gets a bit out of control, I can just, I don't have mysticism. Oh, but on Doozy's open door's always worth a go. Hide is alright. Demoralize. One of the things I don't like is how spells affect leveled characters, because you first off don't know what the level of another character, and the level of the guards, for example, changes. Like they're always 15 levels higher than you, I think, and then it caps off. Oh, congratulations, Jenny. So, like, you always have to keep updating spells and changing things. I wish it was a bit more easier from that kind of thing. This is a custom class, Dragatus. I'll give you a quick rundown. This is my character. Female Dark Elf. Major skills: Unarmed, Spear, Illusion, Conjuration, Alteration. So we're basically a wizard with a spear. And we've got Destruction, Light Armor, Mercantile, Acrobatics, and Athletics. We're a hedge wizard. That's the class that I've given us. And I'm looking for a conjuration. Conjure Spear spell. And I think the characters
finest
here.
Potions and elixirs in town are right here.
If that creature visits again, I think I'll have
I'm
choice
listening.
words to say.
Spells. Here we go. Oh, and I missed Joe Bash's library. Summon, summon, summon. I don't want to summon creatures just yet. I really just want to summon a spear.
Outlander?
Alright, let's go outside. this the...
Any time now.
Passing through. Here we go.
Yes?
So, yes, fast travel did discourage explanation, but on the other, but you are kind of incentivized to explore on the basis of it builds up your skill set quicker. Yeah, I don't know. I think, to be honest, considering that Trump is the front runner in all the, certainly in the national polls and most of the individual primaries, like, as much of a dangerous person as he is, like, you have to take him seriously. Like, he is a fascist, and I don't like using that word because it's such a sensationalist word, but it's like the way that he brings, or is likely to bring, business into government is in a way that is very traditional of fascist regimes in the past. So, you know, and fascism is something that I suppose needs to it needs to be taken seriously and with a great deal of reverence. I suppose. I don't know how, it's the danger. That's the thing, though. The thing about politics, the thing about democracy, is that it's never mandated to pick the best politician. The mandate for democracy is to pick the most popular one by its very definition, the one that's like least likely to cause a revolt and anything. And that's one of the big problems, because it means that Trump is a salesman, and he is maybe the kind of salesman that would sell a broken down car and just give it a shot, like the second hand car salesman in
Clearly
Matilda.
He was wrong.
If you've seen
Yet
that,
I do think he meant well.
that if you've seen Matilda, like that's he could sell a TV that he doesn't know anything about, as I think it's Nerd Writer on YouTube. It's described it. There's a great video by I think a guy called Nerd Writer on YouTube, who talks about Trump's sentence structure and how he always ends his sentences with the word that he wants you to feel. So like he'll and sometimes you'll even see him rephrase his sentences halfway through, just so that he can awkwardly arrange the words so that the most punctuating and shocking word is tagged on at the end, because that's the word you remember. Things like disaster or terrible, bad, short words, but generally ones that are very punchy. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a weird
Looking for something in
thing.
particular?
Yes, this guy's a mage, but he is a mage with the Thieves Guild. And we want spells. Bound. No, bound spears. Guys, I'm gonna do a crafty one. I am going to just do a quick Google search for a bound spear spell and try and find where I can find it. Otherwise, I'm just going to be hopping from Mage's Guild to Mage's Guild and the occasional Thieves Guild thrown in. There you go. Unofficial Elder Scrolls wiki. Bound spear, okay. Oh, I can't seem to... oh, it doesn't seem to be listed in either the Wikia or the... If anyone in the chat knows... The Lady Dunmer in Caldera sells it. Ah! That was like the next one on our trip, wasn't it?
What assistance do you need?
Good one, Dragatus. That is...
Go ahead, stranger.
You are top... Gold star for you. Top subscriber of the day. Or top person of the day. Good. Excellent. But anyway, the good news when it comes to Donald Trump is that all the polls, when or the average of the polls and all the big polls say that Trump will almost certainly lose the election to either Hillary or Bernie by a long way. And not only that, but if you are a Democrat, Trump running as president will severely truncate the Republicans' electoral force in the House and the Senate, meaning that Democrats can actually make some decent gains there for once, which might be nice, because, like, you know, I mean, when Obama first took office, he had the house, he had
I must be going.
Capitol Hill behind him, didn't he? And please, feel free to correct me on any mistakes that I make, because obviously I'm not American. I would love to see Bernie get in. I started this halfway just as they called it for Hillary on today's primary, which is a bit of a shame, especially considering it's a few-point lead. But there you go. That's how things work. To be honest, Bernie is the only person that would ever make me vote for a Democrat. Otherwise, I would always look for a third-party option. If I was in a red or a blue state. If I was in a swing state for the election, I would certainly reconsider. We don't want another Ralph Nader scenario. And that comes from someone who's a green. I could tell you a few positive things about Trump, but they are wildly cancelled out by the horrendously terrible things about him. Some good things include that he strongly opposes TPP. And only Sanders also opposes TPP. I think Rand Paul is a bit squeamish about it, but he's not come out of it in a strong way.
What is this about?
And Hillary's, of course, flip-flopped on the issue. But, I mean, at least she's on the right side of it, so, you know. And Trump isn't funded by Wall Street. You know, that is a thing. Arguably, it might even make him more dangerous because he's unfettered by the powers that be. But, and also, he has actually revealed worryingly little policy. I don't deny it. Not ordinary in games. I would really, really be unsatisfied with the distance between federal government and the man on the street. It would. That's very true, Dune Storm. Let's see, bound. Thank you. Thank you, Doomstorm. I would recommend, if you're interested in the American election, 2 YouTube videos. One with Bernie Sanders, Killer Mike, Cornel West, and Nina Turner, which is like a roundtable discussion about African American, the plight of African American communities and issues and that kind of thing. Which is really, really, really insightful. And the second video is the Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks interviewing Jill Stein, because I think she's an incredibly earnest and honest person, and I think that she's at least worth knowing about, even if you're not inclined to vote for her. View on Europe. Okay, my view on Europe is complicated, but I'll try and sum it up as quickly as possible. Look at that. Look at that. Daedric Spear. Look at that. Let's go out. Okay, so my view on Europe. I'm in favour of a referendum quite strongly. About a year ago, I was quite strongly was in favour of the European Union, but over the past year, I've actually sort of almost fallen out of love on it. And the reason I've fallen out of love with it is because the European Union actually stops us from passing a lot of laws which I feel very strongly about. So, for example, in the UK, we can't renationalise the railways under the European Union because of anti-competition laws. We can't ban the sale of fur because it all has to go through European Union. I think TTIP will be much more difficult to stop through the European Union, although if the buzz on Twitter or anything to go by today, that might possibly not be as true as it used to be. For those of you that are wondering, TTIP is like our version of TPP, which is bleeding terrible because basically TTIP outsources British jobs to America, and then TPP outsources American jobs to like Australia and Japan and I think a few other Asian countries, and New Zealand, which signed it a couple of days ago. Oh, hello. These are Naked Nord, who needs help finding the festering witch who robbed me and left me for dead. I will help you find her. Alright. I never know who's right or wrong on this one, because, like, he's out here on his own. Okay. I don't know, let's do the... Let's do the mission, let's find out. Yes, I to be honest, if Hillary did get the nomination and I was in a non-swing state, I would vote third party. And I think, I could be wrong, I think Lawrence Lessig is possibly running as a third party candidate. He got hounded out by the DNC, which was how the DNC treated Larry Lessig was freaking appalling. The quest is open-ended. The thing about Hillary, which is a kind of saving grace but also her biggest weakness, is that she'll fold under electoral pressure, which means that recently she has flip-flopped on things like defense of marriage, TPP. Now she's telling Wall Street to cut it out, and yeah, okay. I mean, she certainly doesn't have teeth anywhere near as sharp as Sanders, but I wouldn't vote for her. I'm putting that one out there, unless of course it was an absolute between Clinton and Trump in a purple state or something. But okay. Hi there. I see you've already met my good friend Holmar. My name is Socia Caristiana. You really think me playing hundreds of hours of Morrowind I would actually be better at pronouncing the names? She's a healer. How could she be of assistance? I don't think he's ready for it back quite yet. I can still see the rage in his eyes. Socia's offer. So basically, she will give it back to him in the Mage's Hall in Caldera.
Care to tell me what this is about?
Seems a bit chilly today, doesn't it? Well, I'll not be waiting another 3 days to have my bloody axe when it's in the hands of that damn witch. Are you going to help me, friend, or are you believing the lie? I don't know. Can we... Could Linux be good for capitalism? It seems to have done Google pretty well, hasn't it? Like Google has helped Android, and and Linux has helped Android make it the operating system that it is. And there are apparently, allegedly, according to Linus Torvalds, 1 million activations of Android a day, which is unfathomably large. And then just compound that with like the Internet of Things in a couple of years' time. So I mean. Like, it's not poking capitalism in the eye. And I think that there is a possible coexistence there. I think that one of the things I do like about the open source world is that it is quite apolitical. Like or the politics kind of are sort of confined to it, if you know what I mean. Do I have any opinion on countries like Sweden? My view of Scandinavian countries is probably quite romanticized. I like the Finnish education system. Iceland obviously isn't or a Scandinavian country, but I do like the sort of the economic model or the economic attitudes of the Icelandic parliament. I do like the fact that a lot of the countries in the Nordic Council are serious about climate change. Like, that's my biggest sort of admiration about Scandinavian countries. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's picking a side. Can I just... see, Socia just seems to have the more moderate option. Like, the worst case scenario is that Socia doesn't give him his axe back. Whereas if I side with him, it means killing Socia.
You're bested.
Oh, accept.
You're growing weak.
Shall I?
You will die where you stand.
Wizards unite. Oh, come on, I haven't even saved it. Have I actually scuppered myself that early on?
How does it feel to know death is near?
Ouch. Okay, sorry, I gotta read. Right, honestly, in today's yeah, exactly. About yeah, honestly, and you know, having total control and knowledge over the tools that you use, like you know, we like in the European Union, countries have to list the ingredients, all the ingredients on our food, which is the fighting system is very, very divisive. I quite like it, but I know most people really don't. Icaran escape. Shall I? Shall I?
I will bathe in your blood.
Help me. Should have saved, Chris.
This is too easy.
I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. No pun intended. I blew a scroll of Icaran flight, I don't...
You should have picked an easier opponent.
I really should have. I'm sorry.
It'll be your blood here, not mine. Give in. You're dead already.
This is hard. Alright, is it time for the Icaran escape again? No, hang on a minute. I cannot read this too. I think if I just lead him back to the... I don't have any recall spells. I have I've completely let the side down here. Am I even going back to... yeah.
It'll be your blood here, not mine.
I think I could probably survive him.
You will die where you stand.
Well, I have certainly got myself into the wrong fix. Damn it. Why is the pathfinding working? Who's that up there? Oh, dear me. So I apologise to my friends and family, and to those of you watching at home as well. Okay, alright, and now I apologise for
This is fighting. You will
just having the camera angled up his bum.
You will die where you stand. This is too easy.
This isn't even a difficult level, or difficult mission rather. There must be something I can do. Right, it's the thing, I can't cast a spell, I don't have the... I have never had a problem updating on Arch directly. I have had problems updating on Manjaro from time to time, but I've had a lot fewer problems on KDE Manjaro. I need a strategy here. Let's see. See, the trouble is I couldn't jump over it. This must be great to watch. Come on, I do have some skill in acrobatics. I should be able to do something here.
Fool! You will die where you stand. You should have picked an easier opponent.
Yeah, see, like the epic music. Pathfinding! Hooray. Oh, it was only a matter of time before the pathfinding would mess up. Why aren't I fighting back? I'm too tired. I've been knocked out. I have been... yeah, I'm too tired, I'm too exhausted. I need to recover. Oh. I think with Arch you do need like a bit of intricate knowledge. Oh, by the way, did I answer that European Union question? I think I might have drifted off into other countries at that point. Up until yeah, about a year ago, I was in favour of staying in the European Union, and now I am probably 60% in favour of leaving the European Union. But, and there's a big old but in there that I cannot lie about, is that going back to the Westminster system is stupid and ridiculous as well. So we'd need a proportional government. Like you know, like just pulling out of European Union, it's incredibly naive to think that that would suddenly solve all our problems. We'd need to do more. Like that would just be one thing, you know. But I think that the trouble is with the European Union is that it does act as a conduit for a lot of big businesses, and it does limit the kind of legislation that we could put through and the amount of legislation that we could put through, and that like a lot of the legislation that we put through has to be explicitly friendly towards these huge conglomerate corporations. And I would really like to see us take a little bit of a more assertive line on that. Where's the best way to get health now? Sleeping, isn't it? But because the thing is, it's easy to think that the European Union is good because
Yes,
it's
Outlander.
proportionally elected, and there's like a much wider spread of politicians there, across from left to right, but under a proportional system, under PR in the UK, you'd probably see something a lot better than that anyway. But like I say, I'm not super hard line on even the European Union. A good argument could persuade me the other way. The European Union has brought us good legislation. It's
Shopping
banned
for
neonicotinoids, which have
enchantments.
been pretty devastating to the environment, and they have stepped in when the Conservative government has taken steps to take away civil liberties and mass surveillance and things like that. So there's that. But so it's a complicated mess. It's a matter of weighing up the pros and cons, and I think there are a few there are more cons than pros. But like I say, like a really good argument or a really good set of examples could quite possibly persuade me the other way. And I know that's like a really dumb thing for someone running for office to say, but it's true. Like I have to keep an open mind about these things. And there's something, someone said something to me that really stuck with me the other day, is that you can't reason someone out of an argument they haven't been reasoned into. It's daytime, great. That was a long night. I'm like, in short, I'm in favour of the referendum. Let people make up their own minds, which is also my stance on Kashmiri independence. Aha! I forgot a key binding that actually was the reason that I. Yes, we don't have a jump key. There we go. I was trying to jump over. Right. Excellent. Okay. There we go. Brilliant. Okay, that's sorry about me blithering on about the European Union, but I've been thinking a lot about it, so I kind of wanted to share it with you guys. Yes, let's sign in at Chaos. Let's get rested up. I'll keep that halberd there, but bound spear will be. No, how do I do my quick controls? Quick one. No, that wasn't it. Quick menu F1. There we go. Magic menu item. Bound spear. And then magic menu item. No, magic menu item 2 should be bound spear. Magic menu item should be. Inventory menu item, I think. Yeah. There you go. So 1 for basic weapon, 2 for slightly more advanced weapon.
Wealth beyond measure.
Have I ever No, I haven't. People keep saying that it's something I like that it's a rite of passage, and that I should be at least know how to do it and learn how to do it. And it's on the to-do list, but it's a very long to-do list. Yeah, the music is absolutely beautiful. Best soundtrack of the game.
Any time now.
The teleport lady in Barrymore sells some more bound spells, yes. Will Linux ever take over the desktop? No one will ever believe me when I say that. I think there's a possibility that it will have a significant market share. I don't think it's impossible that it will take over the desktop. I think that there is a possibility that maybe Windows 11 or 12, 13 will be free, and I think that it could very well be just in the interests of Microsoft at that point, just to start contributing kernel code to Linux, because there's no point in then rewriting the Microsoft kernel, because that's just reinventing the wheel, and then Microsoft will embed that into their own user space and App Store, and they'll make money through the App Store, and they'll make money from tracking on you. So that could be a backdoor way of how Linux could take over the desktop. But I do think that there will always be a desktop option for Linux, and in the way that we like it, and in the way that we enjoy it, because there are just so many talented techies of all stripes that will contribute to it. I mean, there might come a day when there are significantly fewer distributions, or there might come a day when there are significantly more Linux distributions. But I think there will always be there'll always be a like a sizable Linux desktop following. I have seen it on like YouTube. People compile the kernel, and it does look somewhat easy. But the thing is, I've only really got one proper computer with a backup that's crap, and that I don't really like using. So that's why I haven't done a lot of things that are really experimental with this machine recently. Report to Chaos Cassards. My name is Playervan, and I have... yeah. So we're reporting to this guy. This is our shirtless spy master. Yeah, I know if this is questionable, but at least he's ripped, I know. Okay. The thing I really like about this game, and again, apologise for just going through all of the things. If there are any quests you want me to do, let me know. Okay. So our main quest has been updated. Cool. Go around and buy a few more spells, I think. Let's buy some teleportation spells. Oh, the little details in the game. Like the little details. This is a good example. This room, for example. Bethesda do amazing dioramas. Good skooma pipe. Oh, well, at least he smokes out of a good skooma pipe. He's got some moon sugar on the side. He never really talks about it, but you can tell that he's like knocked over a wine bottle. Locked chest with a 75 trapped lock. You know, this is... and he doesn't want us to touch his things. You know, there are little subtle things. It's very much the same in the Fallout series. Just these little dioramas of props that tell a story. And I am a big fan of storytelling sort of inexplicitly. You know, not having things automatically spelled out for you. That's what I kind of liked about Firewatch. Okay, let's see. I'm just going to catch up on the comments. Love the details. You wish Valve would promote games with a Linux client to push to... Okay, I got a theory about that. And I like, it's a serious theory. It's not one of Chris's, ooh, what if this is weird. My theory is that Valve are playing the long game, like they were with the original Steam client. The original Steam client was an introduction of DRM, and people initially hated it. They absolutely hated it. It took like 5 years at least before Steam actually gained any kind of traction. And part of that was that Valve weren't super pushing it because they wanted to develop it in the field for a long time before pushing it to go mainstream. And I think the Steam box and the Steam client and Linux on Steam and all that kind of stuff are in that same boat. I think that there'll be like 5 years of the Steam box before they start pushing it in a serious way. And 5 years is a long time, but Valve get these things right, and they get these things right by doing things progressively over a long period of time. Ooh, I've been tagged. Yes, I would love it if there was some more virtualization, if there was some wine options, or if there was like an advanced mode that you could go into and then you could get wine. Should we do some Mages Guild quests? Let's do some duties. Don't have any duties for an associate. Ajira.
Yes, Outlander?
CSGO runs pretty fine on this machine. This machine is not a particularly amazing one. It does have 16 gig of RAM and a 970 GTX NVIDIA card, but the processor's a little bit... Okay. Restore fatigue. That's the one that I would really quite like. Disease resistance, water breathing, water walking. Fortify fatigue. Just to restore endurance, restore fatigue. Let's take 3 restore fatigue potions. Rising force never hurts. Yeah, DirectX 11. To be honest, I think you're actually quite right there, artificial duality. That is a very, very good point. And I think Play on Linux is actually pretty good. I like, so... yeah, I think you've got a point there. I think that developers can use it as a crutch.
Attention.
But... if it works, it does work. Like, if developers explicitly port their game for Wine and test it on Wine, I think it potentially could be more stable than it sounds.
The day is yours.
The reason why a lot of games aren't stable on Wine is because they're not designed for Wine. But if games are tested and debugged for Wine, it might be a crutch that works, and it might. I don't know, possibly. But like I say, I'm certainly not convicting myself to that. You can get restore fatigue in the temple, yes, of course. And Steam is good for convenience. I actually own Morrowind on Steam and GOG. I'm not super attached to physical copies, but I do like the fact that GOG give you DRM-free deb files for this. So let's go to the temple. Potions, yes, but also there are some good spells in this temple. Yes, I decided today to put the game chat in the YouTube video because when this video can be displayed on the channel, it means that like I can answer your questions without actually having to reread them. So yeah, there's a bit of a delay. But the delay is like twofold. So the delay of you putting a comment. So if you want to do like a test comment, and then count how much it takes to get back to you, I think it'll be half that, won't it? I don't know. All right. Good night, Jenny. Give me a shout whenever you're available for a Don't Starve game, because I'm back hooked on it. Is that directed at me, Stormcaller Yaldrin? Because I am a bit confused. I am playing under the proprietary NVIDIA drivers. It's the only drivers. It's the only drivers that are serious gaming drivers. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. But it's true. The truth hurts. But it does, but it is true. I hate the fact that I do rely very heavily on the proprietary drivers. Is the stream coming through okay for you guys? No one seems to have complained or mentioned anything. Also, for those of you that are wondering, there is a link to my Twitch. I stream a lot more on Twitch, but I'm hoping to do this about once a week. Not until later in March. Oh, that's middle of election time. Ah. That is, burned, I'm burned. Right, anyway, yeah, take care, Doomstorm. This video will be up on the channel, so if you want to see what I got up to, then feel free. Yes, there is an option in Ubuntu and Manjaro, and I think that there is, to me, distribution does get a few brownie points if it does make available proprietary drivers, even though, I really don't like proprietary drivers. Yes, I can see Vulkan improving gaming on Linux by quite a lot. OpenGL's been around for a long time, and it does what it's supposed to do on the older games, but there does need to be a new generation at some point. There needs to be a new recall thread. Great. I don't have that much money, but these are expensive spells.
Speak, traveler.
I think with wine, I only ever use wine for games. If I need to run a program, I will almost do it in almost always do it in a virtual machine. But I haven't done that in forever. Oh, no need to apologise, Jenny. Life is a thing that goes on. So, mark and recall. Let's see.
Say
Wealth
your
beyond
words.
measure, Outlander.
Wealth beyond measure, indeed. I think I did. Yeah, I did get the Alms of the Intervention. Should we head up to Moonmoth? Get the Divine Intervention. I use VirtualBox for the sole reason that it's just what I'm used to. I have used QEMU before with success, but it's just I know how the settings work. I know what works and what doesn't on VirtualBox. But it's I might try others, but VirtualBox does work. Do any of you guys do much with virtualization, or do you recommend something that's better than VirtualBox? I do know I may be switching away from it because 4.5 version of the kernel does graphical pass-through, I believe, or has started to try and do some virtual pass-through for the graphics, which means that you can actually start playing games, in theory, significantly more reliably. Old games that you can afford to take the performance hit on. But if for games that are quite old, and I do, most of the games that I play now that are based on Windows are quite old, because now that I've switched to Linux, all I do when I want to buy a new game is I just look for games supported on Steam. No, I don't have that big reason to use any of the others. What do I think of Arch for Noobs? I'm not familiar what Arch for Noobs is. Arch it can be very user-friendly when presented in the right context, like with Antergos or Manjaro. And I like the fact that Arch gives you... The map is quite small when you know where you're going. There's a mage here, I think, who can assist me in spells. Or is it in Wolverine Hall? Wolverine Hall, isn't it? Yeah, I'm not trying 4.5 quite yet because they do say that it's it's new, more features, less stable, just as you put it there, really. But Arch is good for learning, and good for learning how to diagnose problems and errors that aren't Ubuntu specific ones, because Ubuntu fixes a kind of Arch is a bit, I don't know, I see Arch as being slightly a bigger step towards more pure Linux than maybe Ubuntu. I see Ubuntu as sort of taking on a role of its own, a good one, but I do not know what an R9 380 is. But if you describe a little more about your use case. Geometry Wars 3, alright, that's... okay. Oh, okay, that's a graphics card. Are AMD drivers really that bad? I mean, I've heard things, but... he's got some work for us if we're interested. I'm just going to go through again all of these. And again, if you want me to do any missions in particular, some Mages Guild ones.
Go ahead, stranger.
I do have a journal, don't I? Okay, let's take our Elms for the intervention. Let's do a Mage's Guild quest. Could use some training then, I guess.
Come on then, say something or move on.
Because it's mysticism, isn't it? It is, it's mysticism. I had an AMD card back at university, which was 10 years ago. Oh dear me.
What's this
Actually, it was more
about?
like 9 when I actually got the card itself. It was fine. It did the job. It wasn't as good proportionally as my Nvidia 970 GTX 970, which I really do quite like. It took them a little longer than I would have liked to support it. Not a fan of Debian. I don't know. I've got to say, I've always quite liked Debian. I like Arch. I like Fedora. To be honest, I'm you know. The distros that I don't like tend to be the ones that just span off Ubuntu and try and do something with Ubuntu that isn't really as revolutionary as you know, I don't know.
Where is that slave?
So even the proprietary AMD ATI drivers are still a bit crap. Ah.
There is someone watching me.
Well, that's disappointing to hear. I mean, I like the fact that Nvidia broadly they support drivers. You know, they support their cards quite well on Linux. But I hate the fact that they're the only company that does it. Right, I think I completely forgot to get the mission at the Mage's Guild, which is dumb of me.
Yes, Outlander?
Even for Morrowind, I feel like I've done more just roaming around than I really should have. It's like been playing for like a couple of hours or something now, and and still haven't really done much other than just pick up a few spells.
Any time now.
It suffers wounds.
Duties. Here we go. Mushrooms.
All right, I'm listening.
Cool. All right, I think I know this one. Did 4 types of mushrooms. Okay. I think this mission is reasonably easy.
Yes,
What's the difference
Outlander.
between kernels? For the most part, to the end user, not much. The kernel effectively just connects the operating system to the hardware. So I often find that if a kernel works, I'll just stick with it. There are kernels that support newer hardware. So if you've got newer hardware, you might want a newer kernel. But for the vast majority of users, the latest long-term support kernel will do the job just fine. People who get excited about kernels like they're quite sort of in deep into the operating system. It's quite a high level sort of thing to be interested in. To be honest, a lot of it also goes over my head. So you're sort of asking the wrong person here, because I'm certainly not knowledgeable about kernel issues really at all. Okay, if it's not as bad as all that, I don't know. It's impossible to say in case, you know, like some of like my experience with AMD is just my experience with AMD is really out of date, I guess. I like the fact that the night actually looks a bit like night. This actually feels like I feel a little bit more inclined to actually just rest. It's 8 PM. Let's rest for like, what do you think, 9 hours maybe? Looking for mushrooms. There's some mushrooms around here. Maybe AMD thought that they could sort of almost cut a corner and think, well, if we open source our drivers, then maybe, you know, a community out of nowhere will come and support them. So we've got Violet Corprinus. Good. So we've got Bungler's Bane. Okay. So the top tip. I did show that rat with my very shiny Daedric spear. So top tip is if you failed or if you struggle to remember these long names, a shortcut is just to remember the initials. So LR, VC, BB, HF. Bungler's Bane. Oh, one hit kill. Yeah, okay, cool. Thanks for the tip there, Dragatus. Hang on, is that one us one I've already picked up, right? Nope. Okay, now we're just looking for the brown ones that grow on trees. Hello. Bungler's Bane. You can actually buy these. No, we've already seen that one. You can actually just buy them and then hand them over, but it's kind of not in the spirit of the mission. Well, there's sort of like only one kernel at heart, but I think some, you know, like some kernels come with extra stuff added in and other stuff taken out, I think, as well. But it is, you know, it is all fundamentally Linux on a timeline. And yeah, and for most people I would just recommend sort of picking a, you know, picking a kernel, and Draggletail wasn't one, was it? Unless you've got, like, obviously a specific enthusiasm for it. Okay. Right, HF is the only one left. Oh. Wrong one. There we go. No. Get out of it. Is that right? Bind spear. Ah. Have any of you tried Neon, or even know if it's out yet? Which is the it's like a remake. I don't know if remake's the right word of Kubuntu, available only for 64-bit. Apparently, I've heard some excitement in the works about it. Yes, I think you're right there, Dragatus. It's my clumsy fingers. Should we have a go in the mystery dungeon? Who's up for a mystery dungeon? We are a level 1 still. I wouldn't mind a few training points in mysticism so I can get make some use of those mysticism spells. Doesn't appear to be anyone here. Oh, I've also spent an unhealthy amount of time playing this game. I must have put, I don't know, hundreds of hours into it. Spears are not the... Yeah, see? Yeah. Yeah, you're right. In the video, like closing their source, like the thing about open source in general is that. Come on. Almost dead.
You will suffer greatly.
There we go. Could use a little more training on that, I think. Yes. XFCE. I don't know what's the deal with XFCE. They seem to be updating. Like, I can understand that there's a degree of. I want to use the word stoicism, but I don't think... I haven't been attacked by the Brotherhood yet. You know, like, I think there is something to be said for a desktop environment that releases once a year, because that way you can have a rolling release, like Arch, for example, or Debian testing, and you sort of have it's like a degree of stability on top of that, and then you can just so you know, you can sort of rely on a desktop a little more. But XFCE seem to be struggling a little bit to keep releases coming out. And I don't, and a part of me feels that it might be shit. Dodge. Wow. Did not expect to do that. And yes, I'm gonna certainly heal now. I'm surprised XFCE is still being used as the Manjaro frontrunner desktop environment. Because it would make, to me, at this juncture, more sense to go, if you wanted a GTK one, to go Mate. Or, because at least Mate, like, that has good GTK 3 support. Like, Mate, one of my biggest worries about Mate when it started out was that it would, it came at a time when there was a lot of desktop environments. After a time when we were really pretty much used to the big three, for quite some time, XFCE, KDE, and GNOME. And then GNOME 3 came along, Unity came along. People liked the traditional interface, and then and I thought that Mate was going to be like, you know, when I heard some of the complaints come from the development team that GNOME 2 was just like, it became too convoluted and clunky to work on, and they wanted to simplify the development process for GNOME 3 and GTK 3. It kind of made me feel, oh, okay, so... Oh, no.
No escape.
I do have health potions. Of course, it can't be a very good assassin, because he's very... Oh, no. Can't be... I am also not a very good assassin. Why did I not get scrolls?
Your wounds are great.
Whoa. Assassin Brotherhood armor. So currently my armor is 8. Let's take... Let's put our Dark Brotherhood armor. That is quite a good armor. Dark Brotherhood boots. Yeah. And then we can put the cloak on the top. And we can remove the helm. I mean, generally speaking, I'm not a helm kind of person. So we've got some pretty decent armor now. My rest has been interrupted. Yeah, I think Mate is... I can certainly see why many people... Why Mate has got the popularity that it has. I thought that it... You know, I thought that it was going to fail, but I obviously am wrong. Oh. Yes, there's the Dwemer Fortress there. We're still looking for that one mushroom, though. Okay. It's glass, yes. The glass armor. Glass armor is definitely better than this. Do you reckon... Should we get some? Should we be really spammy and gamey and get some? Let's see. We can go to Ghost Fence and see if we can nick ourselves some. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know if you guys think that's something you want to do. The budgie desktop. Is that the one that Deepin uses? Oh, do you want to play? I wasn't overly enamored by the desktop on Deepin. There was nothing majorly wrong with it. But it didn't particularly wow me. You know, when you look at things like you've got a lot now. You've got everything from Unity, the Elementary Pantheon. You've got, you know, like Deepin, which I think is okay. So yeah, you got okay. It was Deepin that I wasn't particularly enamored by. So then, I don't think I've tried Budgie then. Wow. Okay. I thought Deepin used Budgie, but now, actually, now that you've mentioned it, I think you may be right. Well, I think you are right. That's quite an interesting thing to set you off down the path. Hello. Bingo. Let's go home. Let's go home a different way. So as a mage, we can wear light armor under our clothes. So as my skill in light armor is a minor skill, and unarmored is my top skill. So I don't know what armor to really side with. Like I'm thinking of a half and half kind of character. So we certainly seem to have a lot more desktop environments than we can shake a stick at, and I don't know, I've got mixed feelings about it. I think that there is room for a very, very, very straightforward, simple, non-customizable, user-friendly UI for newbies that don't really want to accidentally delete a toolbar or anything like that. I would have assumed that GNOME could fill that role now quite well. Like my chances of casting Alms the Intervention are 25%, and I don't think. But what I will do. Might be worth just trying out testing our Yeah, well, I personally think the KDE is the better Manjaro option by quite a stretch. I don't even think it's close. So we've only risen 8 skills. That's a little disappointing. I'm looking for Hiloiad. This isn't it. I generally don't think it's a good idea to have multiple desktop environments or like multiple desktop environments that are particularly different, because you can just end up cluttering your system with a lot of software that you don't need. Because a desktop environment isn't just where the how the windows are managed and where the toolbars go. It's a complete suite of tools. And if you've got KDE plus Mate, then you suddenly end up with 2 notepads and 2 calculators and 2 of this and 2 of that. And I think that if you wanted to try out 2 desktop environments, that I would dual boot or use a virtual machine. Or a boot, external hard drive. Oh, Jerry Marbus. Yes, I don't blame newbies for having difficulties with Linux. The way I look at it is... Is that hello yet? No. The way I look at it is that I look at Windows and Mac as like automatic cars, and I look at Linux as like a stick shift. I think, you know, I prefer driving a stick shift. I can drive a stick shift. I think it gives you more control, particularly in adverse weather conditions. But you have to know how to drive a stick shift, and you have to be willing to put in the extra time to learn how to drive a stick shift. In the same way that you have to learn how to put extra time into using Linux, and you do need that degree of enthusiasm, not necessarily towards technology, but just this enthusiasm to learn new things. And I think one of the biggest concerns of society that I've had is that people think that education stops at formal education, and people leave school or university with like the set of knowledge that they were taught at the time, and they never bother to update it, and they never bother to, you know, they think, okay, I've done the education part of my life, now I go on and do the work part of my life. And I think, you know, in a lot of cases that's an incredibly dangerous way to think, and I think it's one of the reasons why like society is so slow to change its opinion on a lot of things, from things like same-sex marriage and you know, voting reform and all that kind of stuff. You know, I think it slows us down, not even just politically as well, but you know, it sort of almost compartmentalizes our mind that that we think, well, we don't have to learn post 25 years of age, and you know, obviously many exceptions to the rule, and I think that one of the reasons why I enjoy being a part of the sort of the Linux community as much as I do is because I'm surrounded by people that still like to learn new things. Right. We need to go to Ebonheart, and then we need to go to... Oh, Ebonheart. I love Ebonheart. Favourite place. Should we do a bit of a quick tour? Cool. So, this is Ebonheart. This is the castle that the Imperial Legion have to...
Now, where did I put that?
To guard Vivek? Is that the right word? So each Morrowind city has like a castle assigned to it, or at least most of the major cities do. And Vivek is the capital. Can you see Vivek from here? Don't even know which direction you'd look. Don't think you can. It's slightly out of eye line. But this is the castle. Look at that. They've really... I swear they've done something with the lighting. The lighting was not this good in 1997. Nope, wait, that was Daggerfall. I forget when Morrowind was released. People are generally lazy thinkers. I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's, you know, it's not that people are stupid, it's that people are lazy, I think, is the thing. And as a human race, I find that, you know, we're so much better at making excuses for not doing something than actually doing something. So we'd rather just make the excuse and not do it. I can report the Dark Brotherhood attack, but I'm not going to. Because I'm going to mine their armor a little bit more. Yeah, laziness is like, it's the big
time now.
It's a problem for the world over. It's the, you know, like, again, why, you know, it's the same for voting. You know, you ask people, you know, people sometimes even take pride in being ignorant of who runs the country, and they don't vote, and people say they don't vote because there's no one there to vote for. And of course, you know, if you don't think, that's a weirdly realistic sound. You know, and obviously if there isn't someone to vote for, at least in local elections, why the hell don't you stand yourself? It's certainly, you know, it's not expensive. And, you know, the best you can do as a citizen is just put your views forward and put yourself forward as a representative of your community, and, you know, That's the thing. But
Go
if you,
ahead,
if you know,
stranger.
if the reason you're not voting is because there's no one there that represents your views, either like support someone that does, or you can do it yourself. But no, too much like hard work for a lot of people. So now we can travel directly back to. Let's go to Vivek and let's go to the
Short
library.
trip, long trip. You decide.
Okay, hang on, I'm just going to read some of the comments. Your first computer was a Raspberry Pi. That is interesting. I've never met anyone whose first computer was a Raspberry Pi. That's interesting. Well, that is brilliant. I've never used a Raspberry Pi myself. I do have the Geek Box, which I'm gonna do the video for. Things you can do with it, because it is actually quite neat. It's still very much in its early stages of development, and there is a lot of documentation that hasn't been written up properly yet, and it is very difficult to flash the device, upgrade the firmware. It's not a very sort of stable way of doing it, but a few iterations of this of the Geekbox down the line, and that's like a $100 Linux PC, and I might even use it as a print client. Just whack it on my printer so I can have a dedicated device for it. Yeah, it is impressive. To be honest, Alfred, I would say I think there are a number of politicians that are lazy thinkers, but I think that the possible appearance of that is that politicians will try to appeal to lazy thinkers, and that's the circle of the downward spiral, as it were. Wow. Yeah, so like the Geekbox is a little bit like a Raspberry Pi that's with a case and a charger and some different documentation. It's maybe like a competitor to the Raspberry Pi, possibly. But I do like it. I think the Geekbox could very well turn into you can use it for. It's a very good single-use device. You can put it onto your TV, and to be honest, I don't know what to expect from a $40 computer. I don't like that is, back in my day, which was like 5-10 years ago.
Keep moving.
Okay, yeah, all right. Like a $40, that'd buy you nothing. That wouldn't buy you a computer. So it's amazing how cheap computers can be nowadays. And I remember back when I can't remember what company it was, but there was like an initiative to get a $100 computer, and they failed at the time. And now, like the Geekbox is like, I think it's on sale for $109. I don't know, is it worth $109? If you had $109 going spare, it might be a bit of a fun toy, but I think that is. Oh, don't even get me started on politicians and encryption, Alfred. It's scary. It's scary. They don't know even what encryption means. They don't know what zero knowledge systems are. Oh.
If you want something, now's the time to talk.
Has no time for you.
I'm not a right-wing fascist. I'm I'm sort of in Bernie Sanders, Lawrence Lessig, Aaron Schwartz's circle of politics. Left-wing libertarian. Very, sort of. Part of it is in my personality, and part of it's in my biases as well. Like, when I came out of university, I had a real hard time finding a job, and the jobs that I did find, I hated, or the one sort of 9-to-5 shtick that I did, I really didn't like. This is the wrong place. I'm lost in Vivek again. So I started my own business, and I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. But ever since starting my own business, it's opened my eyes up to to how so many people are terrible at their jobs. Because whenever I have to work with other companies, a lot of people focus their careers on looking like they're working over working. And a lot of people don't, they're not sort of intimately acquainted with a lot of the aspects of their profession because they see their job as just a means to an income rather than something that they're passionate about. And obviously being a very small business owner, a one-man business, I'm incredibly passionate about the stuff that I do. Catching up. Right-wing politicians, no. I believe that there are some intelligent right-wing politicians out there, but I think the ones that come to the forefront are the carnival-barking Donald Trumps of the world. I think that there's a possibility. I think some of the more. I think that it's possible. I think that you can get some intelligent conservatives, but I think. And I think that you can get certainly honest conservatives as well, but I think that they're not but I think that in like conservative parties, typically, they have a very competitive nature, and whoever and in politics, it's very unusual for the most intelligent people to rise to the top of that. Intelligent people know what they don't know, and that's the thing that stops intelligent people from being really jumping ahead. Because they don't have that blind faith of confidence in themselves, that sort of faith in their own ignorance that they can just pummel through any kind of criticism in the same way that people like Donald Trump can. What did I study? I studied international politics. So if you wonder why I know so much about like and why I'm so interested in the American electoral race, this is yet again the wrong place.
Let's not make this official, Outlander. Move along.
You have questions?
They do. They know how to appeal to a crowd. And I think it goes back to intellectual laziness. There's a lot of conservative talking points. They hit on, it sounds like it works, but fundamentally has no... Where's Joe Basher's bookstore? He is in the foreign quarter, isn't he? So the upper one... So it's the lower one that we want. Slightly above average. I think that could very well be... well, the people that do well in elections are the ones that have the most money and tend to side with... No, not lower waste. Tend to sort of play the system a little bit more, whereas I adamantly don't, and I will never be a successful politician because of it. But I always am, I want to give people at least the option, and that's why I stand. But I'm not holding my breath for winning anytime soon. But yeah, conservatism, like, it appeals to the intellectually lazy because... You know what, sod it. Let's go back to the other place. It appeals to the intellectually lazy. So, like, for example, in the UK, we have austerity measures. And austerity measures basically involve the cutting of public services, the defunding of public services. And again, this is upper wasteworks. And a lot, it's easy to argue, we need to defund public services because we can't afford them. When, of course, in a lot of cases, expanding public services can actually save a lot of money, and it can actually return investment, especially in things like investment in the arts. And the investment in the arts in the UK actually turns a profit. But a lot of people want to see that defunded just for the sake of a talking point of small government when, doesn't sort of line up like that, does it? And I say that as a left libertarian. But yeah, I can imagine people slightly above average certainly having an edge, because they understand the language that the man on the street understands. Like, you look at Donald Trump and something like 70% of the words he uses are single syllable words, and how he always ends his sentence with the key word of the sentence, and he'll restructure sentences really awkwardly so that the last word that he says will be preferably a single syllable, or at least 2-syllable word that you'll remember. Panic, disaster. That's 3 syllables, but you know what I mean. Terrible, bad.
Yes.
Very bad. But he does, like the vast majority of Donald Trump's words are below the standard. Oh, well, I'm down here now, and I'm just going to go back to Balmoral because I feel like I've just been wandering around and around and around and not really doing that much because I've been paying attention to the comments. Well, it depends. Carthan. It's not always necessarily down to who's got the most money. For example, of course, Mitt Romney had more money than Barack Obama, but it's very difficult to de-seat a president midterm.
I suppose I could spare a moment or two.
Or, you know, between 2 terms.
Any time now.
But Mitt Romney had a lot more money than Obama. Jeb Bush has a lot more money than the rest of them, although a lot of Bush's funders are drifting over to Rubio. Is that his real hair? I've got a theory about Trump's hair. But in 93% of American elections, so that's like state senate and all those ones as well, 93% of the time the person who wins is the one with the most money. So the money in politics... The money in politics applies a lot more to non-presidential elections, because in presidential elections you get a lot of free media. Like, for example, all these debates that we're having, all these primary debates, they're being paid for by,
I think I'll have choice words to say.
you know, Fox News and all the companies that
You wish to speak?
that want to just get their ratings up and all that. But I did like Jeb Bush, man. What a non-starter. So yeah, my theory on Trump's hair is that it's silly on purpose. Trump knows that he has silly hair. But the thing is, one thing I have noticed about elections is that novelty is a really good way for people to remember you. And if Trump didn't have silly hair, there would be other things that you could remember him for because he is a carnival barker by nature. But being known as the guy with the daft hair is still being known as someone. So I think he does it for attention. And I think that he does it for a laugh, for a talking point, for a gimmick. He's full of them. Yeah, Rubio does seem to have... I don't... You know, I think Rubio is hitting a ceiling. Thoughts on underrepresentative UK government? I'm assuming possibly what you're talking about is the first past the post system, which obviously anyone with 2 brain cells to rub together would despises because it's bleeding 200 years old and not fit for purpose. I would much favour a proportional representation. A fake soldier. Take it, put it in Galabadier's desk upstairs. Galabadir should be coming downstairs to talk with Marion Dren, so no one will see you do a thing. Cool. Yes, like Bill with the sax. Like even I know Bill Clinton, you know, plays the sax.
I suppose I could.
Tony Blair did a very similar thing back in the day with the acoustic guitar. You know, a gimmick and a novelty. They sell, and it's terrible, but it's true. Yeah, even Bernie Sanders has his little novel moments. Like I like whenever he talks, it looks like he's sort of conducting an invisible orchestra, which I kind of like his style though. It's good style. Right, what do we got? Fake soldier. Raspian. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Raspian. What would you say is what would you guys think is the... Yeah, I think Snappy... I think we're going to see some pretty amazing things come out of Snappy. Not Snappy, Docker. God, I got that mixed up. Hello, Bernie.
Did you want something?
There we go. Fun fact, Bernie Sanders' brother is the Green Party health spokesperson here in the UK. So, you know, oops, I seem to have dropped a name there. Right, shall we do
Over there. That's no.
Oh, flowers? Towards Saran at the crossroads. Okay, I don't want to do another fetch quest. Should we do some main quest? Should we do some temple? I don't know if Open Morrowind did fix that bug. In all honesty, I've been playing this game now for a couple of hours and I haven't come across a single bug.
Out.
Let's do some main quests.
So what's this regarding?
Oh no, should we try and steal some glassed armor from Ghost Fence? Yes, I think. Hang on. Oh, have I? I've not leveled up at all, have I? Let's go and sell some junk.
Yes.
I quite like the Thieves Guild quests. I've got 3. Got 3 stealthy skills, so that might be enough to get me through the Thieves Guild. I like the Thieves Guild quests the best, I think. Can I sell Elaine's directions to Balmora? I think so. I think I found that, so I can sell that. Lesser soul gem. Tax record. Don't need any of these. These are from old quests. So let's. I like the fact that you appear to be able to. Oh, nice. Accepted that. Cool. So, what shall I do? Can I... Let's get some illusion spells. Okay.
Yes, Outlander?
I think I've worked out what I want to do. I'm going to get some illusion spells. Undertale. Interesting. Undertale, I think last time I checked, was only available for Windows and Mac. I mean, if it's available for Mac, that usually means it'll stream under Linux, that it'll play under Wine quite well. So I might be willing to give it a go. I've got Pony Island as well, which at some point I might quite like to do. But a lot of these... I might... I don't know. It's difficult to pick a game for a stream. I think Morrowind does work. I think Elder Scrolls games do work particularly well. It gives you a lot of talking points. I like the fact that also there's text dialogue as well. That helps. Spells. Okay, so what can we do with spells? a burden spells good? Like, if I get some decent burden spells, can I use it effectively in lieu of a paralyzation spell, or does it not really work like that? If you, how many? I don't know. I don't know how many distributions are available for Pi. Do you have much of a choice? I'm surprised Red Hat hasn't moved into that sphere. I suppose it's because they're quite comfortable in their little enterprise space. Oh, they seem to be very good at it. I'm sure I will love it. CS for Linux. What's CS? Sorry, I'm terribly bad with initialisms. Oh, no need to apologise. I've got Krita and GIMP in KDE. I use GIMP because it's a little bit more simpler. Because I don't need fancy things. I only ever do botch, thumbnails for videos and stuff like that. So GIMP suits me fine. But I think Krita, isn't that like basically the next step up? How did I run this on Linux? I am actually playing OpenMW, which is available. If you just type in Open Morrowind, that should get you what you want into a search engine of your choice. Play on Linux can actually get Morrowind working quite smoothly, but this is actually an open source engine that Morrowind is running on. It's quite easy to install. You can install it through the AUR, or if you're on a Arch-based distribution, or you can get a PPA from openmw.org, I think it's the thing. I'll double check it, just in case anyone's watching this video in the past. Yes, it's openmw.org. I'll give you all the instructions and all the updates and let you know what it is. Yes, I can certainly imagine that that Krita being a KDE app is annoying for GNOME users. I think a lot of good apps that I use, at least, Kden Live for video editing, Scribus for desktop publishing, even the Dropbox app uses the Qt thing, the notification app, as does the Steam one, KeyPass X. I do like Kate, and I do like Console that come with KDE as well. I honestly thought that she had better spells.
Travelling in these storms is unwise.
It really is. Hey, did you just make a comment based on the weather? Brilliant, thanks. And I apologise, person who just left a comment. I am not going to be able to pronounce that name. Does it not recognise your AMD GPU when you use Play on Linux? That is a pain. I'm on NVIDIA drivers. %. Wasn't he projected to win South Carolina for a while? Actually, wasn't he projected to win South Carolina by like 20 points?
All right, I'm listening.
Do you know, I know this is going to be wildly unpopular to say, but I reckon like Trump is not the worst of those candidates. I reserve that Cruz and Huckabee's like pretty much out of it now. I reckon Cruz is probably... I think Cruz could very well be worse than Trump. I don't want to actually super commit to saying that now that I've said it out loud, because Trump is just too unpredictable and too just out of his tree. But and like Ted Cruz is like more predictable and basically seems a little more under control, but he's not. I think Cruz is just as batshit as Trump. It's just Trump is a lot more louder about it.
Yes.
Okay, Vivek's gonna have the spells we need to rob the ghost fence. South Carolina moonshine. It's a bathtub brew. And
Any
also,
time
you know,
now.
I might speak reasonably flippantly or dismissively about Trump, or like even comedic, you know, like sort of in non-serious ways about Trump. I suppose it's the privilege of not living in America and not actually having to. Do you think Cruz is smart? He doesn't come across as particularly smart. I think Trump is a frigging fascination. I know TTP is like, that's a big
interesting.
issue, and
Can you ask your
Trump is
question
the only one
quickly?
against
I
it.
must be going.
Although Rand Paul just doesn't have the conviction that he should have. I mean, I'm not a fan of him and his ideology, but like at least I thought that he was an honest libertarian, and now he just seems to have completely folded like a house of cards. No, I didn't. I'm sorry. No, sorry, I retract that. I like compare for a Republican, but that's still not really that much.
Yes.
Bush went to Yale, so smart. Trump is smarter than he looks. Like, he might have bankrupted 4 companies, but he does run like a couple of hundred. The thing is with Trump is that his skills are perfectly suited to his environment, and what he does is he changes his environment to match his skills. So Trump's skills are twofold. One, he's a damn good salesman. You can't take that away from him, right? One of the reasons he's got so much of the vote is because he has managed to appeal to a very to the kinds of voters that would usually be baffled by an election, and he's actually made an election accessible to people that would usually be wildly confused by it. And the second one of his set of skills is delegation. He obviously doesn't run 400 companies, and there's a very good case to make that he doesn't have the skill to run 400 companies, or however many companies he's running. That's just like an arbitrary number I picked off the top of my head, but I know that he owns a shit ton of companies. But he knows who to put in charge of those companies to make those companies succeed. So, and I think Trump's look and his image is all part of his salesmanship. Nope.
Yes.
And like I say, I could be wrong about everything I've just said. Trump says the global warming just isn't an issue for him. He dismisses it as something that, yeah, I think he may acknowledge his existence, but doesn't care. But the thing about a Trump presidency, which might not be as bad as it sounds, is that he would outsource everything. He would, you would see a White House CEO. Actually, I would assume there's already a White House CEO. But he would basically get people to have his actually do the work of his presidency for him. And I think that he would rely on his advisors a lot, if not get his advisors to do the work. And I think he is probably quite good at delegation, because that's how you do well in business. So, he doesn't need the skills, he knows what. Maybe his advantage is that he knows that he's not as smart as he needs to be, and therefore maybe he might call in some help. Again, just a wild theory, and and I could easily be completely wrong. And I'm going to preface that by saying that, because I don't want people to think that I'm actually serious about a lot of what Trump can do, because he's an absolute madman. What's our... I mean, it could be the case that he gets into the White House and things don't completely fall apart, but I don't know. I wouldn't bet the White House on it. I wouldn't bet my country on it. If we just take a lot of restore magic potions,
Outlander, what do you want?
then we can go to Ghost Fence. Does any of you guys know what the caucus things are like now? How many points difference there is?
Speak freely, friend.
I know they've called it for Hillary, which, I wish it was at least closer. Let's see. So Balmorra will probably have some
What is it, Dunmer?
potions that we want for Restore Magicka. Hang on, was that 45? One restore magica potion.
Warm day to you.
Thank you. So we'll go to Hellbrand. Let's have a look at Ghost Fence. What could possibly go wrong? Okay, so would I vote for Bernie if I could? If so, what would my main reasons for doing so? Okay, so I don't like either the Democrat Party or the Republican Party, and I would generally look for third-party options if I was not in a state that would make a difference in the presidential election. But
all right, I'm listening.
But I would be willing to make an exception for Bernie Sanders on the basis of single-payer system healthcare, electoral finance reform. I think that his foreign policy, I know that many people consider it to be not as good as Hillary's, but I think that it is better. I think that, you know, voting against the war in Iraq showed a heck of a lot of seriousness and sort of sensibility. Yeah, that's a bit further apart than I really was hoping. What else? I don't like that. Well, I really wouldn't vote for Hillary anyway. So it's not, to me, it's not a Hillary versus Bernie thing for me. I don't think someone that could vote for Doma, or someone that could be in favour of the 3 strikes rule will ever get my vote, even if they change their mind. I think that's. Can I get up and over here? So yeah, I mean, I could slag off Hillary until the cows come home. She voted for some pretty horrible legislation over the years. She might have changed her mind on a few issues, but the fact that she seems to be quite unable to stand up to a lot of opposition, I think, is a concern. What else do I like about Sanders? I like the superficial things about him as well. I like the way how he speaks, and I like the fact that he doesn't dumb down a lot of what he says. Single-payer healthcare. I don't know. If you give me policy areas, I can give. Yeah, like Hillary is just a typical politician, really. Yeah, I thought it was the Nevada numbers. I like the. Oh yes, of course, and his backers. That his money basically comes from unions. Is it the Aeronautics Union, which are the his biggest campaign donors? Yes, the difference. I would absolutely love to see a Trump-Sanders debate, presidential debate. Where's Ghost Fence? Is it up here? Oh, cliff racers. Should I have modded them out? I think, the thing that Trump said about Apple the other day was, to be honest, to me, I thought that was stupid even for Trump. He said that you should boycott Apple products until they put a back door in. I would actually disagree with that point, Carthan. I think that Sanders can instigate much greater change for a number of reasons. The first being that even though he's a quote-unquote Democrat, he is an independent at heart. And he is appealing to a lot of voters that he's appealing to a lot of independent voters. So I think that he can reach across the aisle in ways that perhaps Obama and Hillary couldn't. That being said, I get what you mean. Like, you know, that it's possible to be overly dogmatic, and you know, that Sanders can be overly dogmatic. I can see that as being a criticism. But I don't know. I think there's something to be said for sticking with your principles, to be honest. I can see why people might think Obama syndrome might come in, because Obama promised the world of change, and it was very small amounts of change. But I do think that Sanders can reach across the aisle better than Hillary or Obama could. But that is just speculation and whatnot. The thing is, I can't see Hillary instigating much change anyway either, because I think again she would. Ouch! I was reading the chat. Please let that be nearby. What kind of spell? Oh dear me. Well, I certainly fucked that one up, didn't I? That is well back in the way. Yeah, like Hillary is very much a business as usual. I think that Sanders would be a lot more aggressive when it comes to executive orders.
You have my attention.
I think that a lot of this is just the nature of the presidency, though, isn't it? How much change can our president do? And also, let's not forget that in many ways Sanders has already
Any time now.
achieved what he initially set out to do, which was to shift the entire debate of the primaries to the left. And Hillary has taken one huge leap to the left. Has taken one huge leap to the left because of this. So I think that's one sort of positive thing to come out of it, even though
How
I don't
interesting.
particularly like Hillary.
A tourist.
I'm going to have to go back to Vivek. I think that Sander will be more aggressive on one of the bigger points, which is the electoral finance reform. And I think that he will aggressively go after that in a way that Hillary won't, because Hillary does benefit from it more. And and Hillary going after it... Yeah, she has taken a leap to the left in rhetoric. All right, Dragatus, there's a very fair point. The thing is, Hillary will have more consequences of going after electoral finance reform, and Sanders won't, because Sanders doesn't have the, he doesn't, like, his campaign donors are giving money to him because he's asking for electoral finance reform, and because he's demanding it, and because and that is an issue that could completely cross the aisle. There are many Republicans that absolutely demand electoral finance reform as well. So on that one issue, if he can reach across the aisle, which I firmly believe that he can, then future elections will see at least a better spread of candidates. So I think that is that is a big change that he can instigate, because he doesn't have to suffer consequences for instigating that change in the same way that Hillary will. Hillary has a lot more problems in regards to, she has to appease Wall Street, because just look at her donor list. So I can understand the argument for business as usual, but I can't remember what author said it, but one of the most dangerous lines in the English language is, because we've always done it that way. And I think that business as usual is better than it could be. She was in favour of TPP until she flip-flopped recently. That's quite a big thing to flip-flop on, and she clearly did it as a result of the electoral atmosphere. She will be pressured to do it, and I think that I think that might be a very positive thing that Bernie's put into the campaign anyway, and I think that's what Bernie initially wanted to do. I don't think Bernie ever thought that he could actually win.
I'm listening.
I think Bernie just wanted to shift the debate to the left, and I think he has very firmly done that. Again, that's one that I think that people have painted Sanders as someone who doesn't prioritise abortion rights and minority rights, but I think that again is possibly part of the misconception. Now I know that I think things like abortion rights and minority rights are things that Hillary probably would. No, sorry. Hillary voted in favour of DOMA and in favour of the 3 strikes rule. And the 3 strikes rule is one of the most racist piece of legislation in American history that's still around. Okay, no, not American history again. Sorry, I don't mean to throw more rhetoric into the into the mix. Is enough already. But where did I pick up the spells that I was supposed to pick up? Oh, I've just befuddled myself after that death. But if you want to see where Sanders stands in his sincerity on minority rights, there is an amazing roundtable talk between Sanders, Cornel West, Nina Turner, the senator that put forward the amazing piece of legislation that takes away fathers' rights from rapists. And Killer Mike, who I think, there's like a nice roundtable discussion. I know, Alfred, I mean, it's madness. That's the power of evangelicals in the, evangelicals turn out to vote, and that's pretty much why, I think. And that's why, obviously, Ted Cruz won Iowa. But yeah, there's a roundtable discussion with Cornel West, Nina Turner, and Killer Mike, and I think that really does show how Sanders sort of does understand the plights of the community. I think in a lot of cases, at least especially with me, I when I stand for election, I don't talk about abortion rights very much, because to me, again, it is a cut and dry issue. It's like, pro-choice. It's the only way to go. I've had debates in churches where I've argued for pro-choice, and even in the UK, where's the best spells? And even in the UK, I think even the debate is coming round. Well, the thing is, for example, the working class and the economic policies that he talks about is Caldera. Where did I get that hide spell?
Speak freely, friend.
Is that the economic policies, for example, raising the minimum wage will disproportionately affect women in a positive way, because the majority of people holding minimum wage jobs are women. In fact, one of the arguments that a lot of people use to try and dispel the gender pay gap myth is, if you could get away with paying women less than men, why aren't companies hiring women by the dozens? And it's actually quite interesting, because that is actually quite true in a way, is that a lot of companies will hire women because they know that they can put women on a lower pay grade and keep them there and not even bother promoting them. So by actually increasing workers' rights across the board, increasing the minimum wage, something like 69% of minimum wage jobs are held by women in the US, and I think it's something like 70-something% of minimum wage jobs are held by women in the UK. So the general state of a low minimum wage definitely affects women a lot more than men, and you can even say that the minimum wage might even be a women's rights issue. Possibly, I don't know. So there's and also, again, what other so a lot of economic policies, especially focusing around working class things, like, again, the 3 strikes and you're out rule, wouldn't, that massively disproportionately affects black people and Latino people as well, but it's not necessarily. It is kind of seen as a racial policy area, but it wasn't at the time, I guess. Can I buy from? Hello. Okay, right. How much is spell of dominant? How much have I got? Can I buy 3 of them? Please, 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 please. Okay. No, of course they're not the only issues we need to be concerned about. I think he probably focuses on them because they affect the most number of people. I think the single payer health thing is another one that affects a lot of people. Did you know, this is a really, really worrying fact that I found out. Okay, so 50% of all bankruptcies in America are the result of medical bills. That is bleeding high. 50% of all bankruptcies, right? But on top of that, out of those 50% of bankruptcies, I think it's around 70 to 75% of them are people who already have insurance. So just because you have health insurance, even under the Affordable Care Act, doesn't mean that you can't go bankrupt as a result of health bills. Yes, and then of course, yeah, so minorities often tend to get poor jobs. So you can certainly restructure it as you know, working class issues and things like that. And also, Sanders, one of the things I do like about Sanders is he does talk about the working class as well, which is something that so many politicians are scared to talk about, because working class people are by far one of the lowest voter groups. So you're not the type of... Oh, you don't like... You really don't like me. Oh, that's better. Let's see. Is it can we do less? And also, I mean, a lot of it is yeah. I mean, I think a lot of this is covered, and certainly a lot better than the way I'm talking about it now. Under that, really? You're not going to like me again.
Can you ask your question quickly? I must be going.
Let's see. Can I sell something back? Excellent. They're expensive scrolls. And it's like, I mean, it is, I think, worth noting that they both recognise the serious issues of, you know, of wealth disparity between. I mean, the biggest cause of inequality, from at least the way I see it, it is wealth.
You may speak.
You know, I mean, the fact of the matter is that women and minorities tend to just have less money and less means to make money, and I think that's the key problem, because as you know, as plain as day as it is, money is power. Oh yes, having a job of minimum wage is a million times better than having no job, but I'll tell you what, I would really not like to have to support a family on a minimum wage, if that's even possible. I don't even know how people do it. It's remarkable. I mean, as a you know, as a single bloke, surviving on minimum wage is something I feel I could do reasonably comfortable, especially considering I don't have particularly extravagant tastes. I don't even have a smartphone, so you know that I can deal and live with. But of course, the idea behind a minimum wage is that you should be able to support a family over it. One of the pieces of legislation I quite like the look of. I don't know if Sanders supports it or not. I don't think he's talked about it as far as I've heard, is the idea of a paternity leave. Where basically if a couple decide to have a family, they... What's the best way to get to get through the ghost fence? Okay, I'm gonna go that way. Yeah, is that both men and women have to take X amount of days leave to raise a child, and the reason for that is that it disincentivizes the hiring women over men for family planning reasons. So that's quite a good piece of legislation. I fully support a universal basic income. It goes under many names. I most often refer to it as citizens' income because that's what it was called when I learnt about it. I actually know the guy who drafted it. So he's called Clive Lord. He's pretty old now. He's a nice fella. And yeah, I fully support a universal basic income. When I was standing in the general election, we had it accosted as part of our manifesto. Obviously, it was in British pounds. People under the age of 18 would get in the ballpark of £50 a week. People above the age of 18, I think it would be closer to £80 a week. And people over the age of retirement age, which I think is 65 now, but I would like to bring that down, would get about £150 a week. But yeah, universal basic income is it's a fantastic piece of legislation because, again, it gives people significantly more financial freedom. I think, to be honest, if again, I know third-party candidates just generally are not very well received in the States, but I think that there's a lot to be said for Jill Stein and Larry Lessig. I think there's loads of good things you can say about Larry Lessig. Here's a fun fact. I think his name's John McAfee. The guy that does McAfee antivirus is actually standing in the election. And if you're not familiar with John McAfee as a person, he was recently in the news for having a DUI and a firearm offence. Owning an illegal firearm, I think it was. Now, you think Trump's a bit of a madman. McAfee is completely off the rails. I used to be so much more familiar with the maps on this game. But also, I think, just to not to labour on too much, but I think that it is important to bear in mind, just because like someone like Sanders talks about one issue or like 3 or 4 issues repetitively, that it's not necessarily representative of the comprehensiveness of his presidency. Certainly in the same, and you can apply that to all serious presidential candidates, because it's important to bear in mind that we might be sort of politically informed individual, and we might you know, it might very well be the case, oh, Sanders talking about Wall Street again. But for many, many, many people, it's going to be the first time they hear that. So, I think that's the thing as well. There's a great website called I Like Bernie Butt. This is going to be difficult. Sorry, Carthan, by the way, if we're dogpiling you, that's like totally uncool, but we're excited individuals. Is that that's starting to look like possibly the Ghost Gate? But if you are looking like for a good, strong female candidate, I do think there's a lot to be said for Jill Stein. She did an amazing interview with Jen Kuger from the Young Turks, and I think that there's a lot to be said for her principle and honesty. Obviously I know that she's not going to win. John McAfee did a video on his YouTube channel. Oh, such wonders will never cease. See, that's the thing. Do you know, one of the things that Sanders has done, which I really like, is he has reinstated my faith in American intelligence. Sanders has stuck by a lot of things that many people said would make him unelectable and unpopular, and he's been very, very principled about it, and I think that. And that's been well received, and the fact that that's well received has actually made me think. Well, particularly younger voters, they are like a lot more intelligent than I thought. So I apologise, I guess, for that. And I think a lot of it is as well is that Sanders is very popular among young people because young people haven't lived through things like McCarthyism and a lot of the Cold War stuff when there was just so much propaganda flying around. The propaganda that we have now is just entirely different. Is Jeb officially quit? Oh, come on, guys, give me a break! Give me a break! Have you seen that video of him at the Rotary Club? Oh, bless his little cotton socks. He tried so hard. Oh, poor Jeb. Yes, that's a very important point, Jerry Marbus, is that the Nazis did sell themselves as socialist.
There is someone watching me.
Which is completely false and untrue. There are plenty of cases of socialism which has not been good, but there are many, 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 many cases of socialism that has been excellent. Britain was a very socialist country shortly after the war because there was a lot of national investment into infrastructure. See, that's the interesting thing about the financing of the single-payer healthcare system. A lot of people say, well, America can't afford single-payer healthcare system, and Britain brought in the National Health Service, our single-payer system, at one of the cases, at one of the worst financial times in this country's history, or at least in this country's modern history. So now I'm going to go down and try and rob the Ghost Gate. Ghost Fence. Ghost Gate, that's it. So, it actually was a way to give a lot of people a lot of jobs.
Let's not make this official, Outlander.
Okay.
Move along.
So if we could have afforded to implemented single-payer healthcare system shortly after World War II, then we can afford to do it now. So yeah, there was, we've had many socialist governments in the UK, and I think in the most part people just seem to forget that they're socialist because it's nowhere near a radical idea as people think. It's just a rhetoric word. Yeah, and North Korea has the People's Republic in the name, so yeah. What's he gonna do with that gun that he bought?
I'm waiting.
He clearly only bought that for the election.
I'm waiting.
Okay.
My time is precious, so make it quick.
If you're here for trouble, you'll get more than you bargained for.
Okay, chill, dude. He is just waiting to hit someone. Oh well, he was never gonna win.
My time is precious, so make it quick.
Yeah, Trump is a fascist in the literal sense. I don't like using that word because it's often used as just an insult or a way to exaggerate something. But Trump is a fascist, like in his policies and in how. There we go. We can now level up. God, it took us ages to get to level 2. It's a basement level, isn't it? I wish I was fast. I should have got the boots of blinding speed. Okay. I'm not sure. I think there probably is, but if you're looking to build a specific package, is it not worth checking in the AUR to see if it's not available there? Also, I mean, of course, it is worth bearing in mind that, you know, the nature of elections are very much going to change because of smartphones and the internet and all that kind of stuff. Well, the British healthcare system costs about a third of the American subsidizing the private healthcare system. Because socialism, economically speaking, is actually very, very efficient. That being said, I do think that the British healthcare service, British Health Service, should have more money. I think that it is underfunded. Okay, this is it. But I would very much prefer the British National Health Service over most other systems, including the French system. The French system is a subsidized private healthcare system, but in a much different way. And if you measure it by life expectancy, the average French person's life expectancy is 1 year longer than the average British person's life expectancy, which is the way how you generally measure the well-being of healthcare, because healthcare isn't just doctors and nurses, it's healthcare, you know, it's education, pollution, and all these things factor into it.
I've got better things to do, so
right,
if you don't mind, let's
save.
move this along.
I am very much against the idea of online elections for office. Even because the thing is, open source is like, it would obviously have to be open source. Obviously, if it was ever going to be done. We trialed them in Britain, I think in an election in Yorkshire, and they didn't even use an open source piece of software. What I'm going to do, right? I'm going to look up a video and I'm going to link it into the chat. It's a guy I know called Tom Scott. Maybe some of you are already subscribed to him. He's a smart guy. So there you go. There we go, yeah. So that video is definitely worth a watch, because he talks about why basically online elections are a bad idea. Why
after Hurricane Sandy.
Yeah, there you go, that's the right video, just checked it. Okay, so I've been researching this. That's... I gotta admit, that's sort of like above my sort of level of expertise. I wonder what Tails have done to the kernel. The Tails OS. Okay. Now in theory, I should only need one of them. How do I equip it again? It's gotta be down here, isn't it?
Let's hear it.
Well, that was a waste of money.
Speak, traveler.
Can I move him out? I don't... Yeah, I think you're right there, not ordinary in games. My polling station is literally a 2 minutes walk just around the corner of my street. There's actually, if you guys know Reddit, there is a great Reddit Ask Me Anything by Bill Binney, who used to be the technical director for the NSA, who then turned whistleblower. And he basically says, you know, like, you've got an organization like the NSA who have $10 billion a year that they can spend however they want. The amount, just the fact that they have that amount of money gives them an amount of power they just absolutely really should not have. No, that didn't work.
Come on, I haven't got all day to stand around and talk to you.
What a... I don't think I've got anything. I've got nothing. Ancestral... I think I'm going to have to move out.
Come on, I haven't got all day to stand around and talk to you.
Oh,
Let's hear it.
I'm drawing a mind blank. Can you explain the Can you remind me what the investigatory powers are? I remember this. I vaguely remember it. I can't remember the my mind has actually gone blank on it for a second. Right, I think I'm going to have to head back. I think this has been an unmitigated disaster. I feel embarrassed and let down. I feel like I've let you down. Oh, Theresa May's IP bill. I think that is a completely madness. Madness. I'm probably going to be wrapping up in a little bit, actually. Not ordinary in games. I will let's take a walk to Caldera, and I'll probably leave it there now because I think that I've done like sod all for hours, except wander around. I've mostly been chatting with you guys, but. But it's all good. I gotta admit, I think what I might do is start a character off screen and get them to a decent point, possibly, or at least finish the Seydanine missions. Build them up to like level 2 or 3 and then possibly come back for that next week. Yeah, Theresa May's IP bill, the unfathomably horrible thing about it is that it is very, very apparent that Theresa May doesn't know some very basic things about technology. I think like zero knowledge systems, what encryption actually is, what even the concept of what the industry standard of what secure is. And that's the thing that concerns me. It's not necessarily that I disagree with the policies. It's that we have a lot of people who are in fact writing legislation who don't actually have a clue about what the legislation is about that they're writing. I'm not. You won't hear me very often speak highly of the House of Lords, but they have been batting down a lot of these kind of bills that they've been putting through, and the European Union have as well. So there's a saving grace there. I know that I said earlier that I was actually in favour of coming out of Europe, and I am, but yeah, obviously you can't ignore the fact that the European Union has stepped in on that as an important issue. And all that good work could very well be undone with TTIP, so... The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, as they say. Yeah, and the thing about democracy that people just don't seem to get is that democracy does require a degree of anonymity. Or at least the option for it. Now obviously I'm talking about my personal politics on the internet, and I'm gonna take responsibility for that. But I'm doing it because I want to and because I'm passionate about it. But I think that there should absolutely, unequivocally be the option to research and learn about political ideas without someone looking over your shoulder. Right? Because let's just say, for example, that you are a Donald Trump supporter. Or or you're not. Or you want to find out whether or not you do support Donald Trump. So you do. You go online. Oh yeah, I can level up right here. You know, you go up online. Uh-oh. Panic. You know, so you do go online. You look up Donald Trump. You see what he's up. Oh, the government, now know that you've looked up Donald. The government shouldn't look over your shoulder when it comes to political speech. Your political speech should be completely independent of the government looking over your shoulder. Right, and that's to me, that is the big kicker about it. Because if you are if you don't have the choice to be anonymous in the way that you look at politics, you will then be influenced by it, by knowing that someone is looking over your shoulder. And that's a very, very, very dangerous road to go down. Come on, dude. Just a prank, bro. Just a prank. I took the wrong potion, didn't I? It doesn't necessarily have to be a Donald Trump supporter, right? Go back a few decades to McCarthyism. Oh, come on, dude. There we go. Yeah, go back a couple of decades to McCarthyism, when people were being, you know, called out and basically witch hunted for being socialists, and think about how bad that would have been if the government actually had access to what kind of information you had. It would have been ridiculous. It would have been incredibly oppressive and authoritarian and incredibly non-democratic. And one of the core tenets of democracy is absolutely that people should be able to research about it independently, freely, without judgment. And that is the epitome. That is the sort of the pinnacle of why we need to preserve online anonymity and that. I'm sure many of you are also familiar with the last year Facebook buying up $40 million worth of patents. One of those patents actually allows a piece of software. I'm going back to Ghostgate because I'm a freaking moron. One of these patents is to allow banks to go through your Facebook profile and assess your credit rating based on who your friends are. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, it is ranty day today, isn't it? Did I actually level up properly? Oh no, I was. Please, can I rest? There we go. Intelligence. Endurance, speed. There we go. About bleeding time. Yeah, you can't have democracy without anonymity, if you ask me. Same for voting. Because the thing is, it might be hunky-dory now. You might, feel free enough to look up Trump's policies on the internet, look up Sanders' socialist policies on the internet, all that kind of stuff. But what's not to say that we're gonna always have that freedom, to that people in the future will not be hounded for their political beliefs, and without freedom of thought and freedom of speech and freedom of expression, we're not a free society. Oh, we're going all the way down to Balmora. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the issue, but I feel like I'm preaching to the converted on that one. That being said, though, I mean, I know that we've been on a downer for a lot of this stream, but things are looking up in the Linux world. No. At least I've got a magic spear. Cool. Okay. Let's use a Rising Force potion. I forgot how much I've forgotten about this game. I've used my only Rising Force potion. And how much concentration it required, because I have been playing this game incredibly poorly. Solely as a result of me chatting to you guys. And I spent most of it in the night as well. Yeah. But I gotta say, over the past 2 years, /3 years, Linux has massively jumped leaps and bounds. A lot of it was down to Steam, and I think Steam and Valve's involvement in Steam have certainly accelerated to new heights. The thing is, right, here's the thing, right, that about sort of like, people really should get angry about politics. You know, like, millennials get a lot of bad press these days about being angry and outraged over everything. And I know that there's a lot of artificial outrage out there, a lot on social media. But you should be angry when your government does things that you don't like, because it means you care and you give a damn. I get angry. I might not be like the most shouty and angriest of persons, but that doesn't mean that I don't, viscerally despise some of the things that the UK government has done. But if you don't get angry, it probably, in a lot of cases, means that you don't care. So, and I think, like, when I was in school, it was always the case that, adults would always moan at people my age, saying, "Oh, you don't care about the world around you. You don't care, who's in charge of the country. You're probably never going to vote. You're disenfranchised, disengaged, and all of that." And is that the who's this? And now, young people and kids and millennials and
don't stand about, get moving.
They're getting criticised and beaten down now for being too passionate and too angry about it all. Yeah, people just can't win. And to be honest, one of the reasons why things might look like they're in a bad state right now is simply because we didn't know 20 years ago, because we didn't have the information. Look at all of the police violence that has been captured on mobile phones. I'm going to go back to, what's the quiz? Balmora. So I'm going to go back to my house, and then I'm going to leave it there.
Let's do business.
No. No. Yeah, so a lot of it is the world might seem a bleaker place today because it's more difficult to ignore. A lot of the problems we have because we're more informed as a society. Positive change will come, but it A, takes time, and B, it's not smooth. Never is.
Yes.
See, that's what concerns me about climate change. Oh, hey, Francisco Wiles. That's what concerns me about. That's why, to me, climate change is so high up on the priority order. Is that there's negative things are happening now, and there is a TikTok. There's a time on it, and if we don't act swiftly, we are going to be in for one hell of a rocky ride. And of course, let's not forget
we make
that
a special trip just for you. Same low price.
I'm a reasonably privileged person, all things said at the end of the day, and I'm unlikely to be the worst affected by most things a lot of my government can do. I'm knowledgeable enough that I could I can surf the internet anonymously. So the IP bill in many cases probably won't have it will, but it doesn't. It's not going to affect me as severely as it's going to affect a lot of other people. And a lot of employment legislation doesn't affect me because I'm self-employed and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. That is actually a very good point, Alfred Holmes.
Yes?
It is very common to think that every generation thinks they're the last to have a decent society, but also Aristotle believed that the medical inventions would have occurred in his lifetime to have made him live for 1,000 years. That's a really weirdly structured sentence. But Aristotle believed that by the time he died, they would have invented technology for him to have lived for 1,000+ years. And that's Aristotle, man, so... And I think that's always something to bear in mind, is that it's very easy to fall into the psychological traps. People telling you that you can't afford single-payer healthcare, or you can't afford universal basic income, or someone like Sanders, he can never reach across the aisle and get Republican House and Senate on his side and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, well, it's easy to sort of be defeatist about it, and it's easy to sort of buy into these intellectual lazy arguments, but with a bit of enthusiasm and a bit of knowledge and a bit of willing to do some research, I think we can move past it. Anywho, that is just my thoughts. Do any of you guys have any closing statements before I head off now? It's coming up to 4 hours. I can't even imagine what it's like not to have a universal healthcare system. To me, it baffles me that a first world country has healthcare in the states that America is. Of course, I'm in favour of the where is the fair use movement. Anyone who's a creator is pretty much in favour of it. I can't. It's only this coming down on fair trade, not fair trade, fair use. This coming down on this coming down on fair use on YouTube it's the desperate acts of a dying industry that's Hollywood. It's and Time, was it and Warner Brothers and all this kind of stuff. They're absolutely scared to hell that they're going to become irrelevant if they don't aggressively protect every piece of intellectual property they have right up to the hilt. And personally, I think that they will survive, because companies like that always will survive if they can adapt. That is the big key thing. They can survive if they can adapt. And they'll adapt. They have the money to adapt. They have the consultants and all that kind of stuff. But that doesn't stop them from getting in the way of small-time creators. But big businesses have always tried to stamp down on small-time people, and in a lot of cases they've been worryingly successful. But this is why, right? And okay, I was going to do this as a video, but I'm just going to sort of relay this to you now. I'm currently standing in 3 elections at the moment. No kidding. I'm standing in a seat for the Welsh Assembly, a constituency seat for the Welsh Assembly, a regional seat for the Welsh Assembly, and a local council seat, right? So I'm very, very busy up until all of those elections are done, which is May. After May, assuming I don't win any of those elections, I will then have a lot more time to focus on this channel, and I want to really go to town on it. I was going to do it at the beginning of the year, but I was pretty naive to think that I could have that there would be that many hours in the day. And I want to hammer a lot of good quality content out on this channel from May until the end of the year. And depending on how good that content is and how reliable I can get that content out, I might start going down the Patreon route, because it will give me independence from YouTube. It means that if YouTube do decide to What if I do? What if I win all three? I can't win all three. The chances of winning all three are very, very, very impossible. At the very most, I'd win 2. But well, actually, I can't win 3 because you can't hold a constituency seat and a regional seat. So it would be like if I won 1, I'd be disqualified from the other, which is fine. But it means then I could, it means that I'm not restricted to YouTube, and it means I'm not at the hands of Google. YouTube, I think, if I remember correctly, is the only Google service I use now. I've actually shifted all of my stuff away from Google. And I do a bit on Google Drive just because other people do, but I'm a much bigger fan of Dropbox. And if I can get a solid, if I can really get my channel to where I want it to be by the end of the year, then I will start looking down at things like Patreon routes. However, I will say this now, this is a complete 100% promise, right? And I will not go back on this, right? No matter how I decide to fund this channel, all content will be available for free. There'll never, ever, ever be a paywall, right? Just in case that thought was ever going through your head. Because I've got a very firm personal value that there is really no point in knowing about, in having knowledge. Like, there is no point to knowledge if that knowledge cannot be shared, right? There is no, you could be the smartest person in the world, but if you can't share that knowledge with anyone, that knowledge is all for nothing. And I feel quite absolute about that. So if I were to ever fund this channel in any other way other than the Google ads, then I would definitely, then I'd quite like to do that. Because also I don't like funding this on advertising as well, because it does. Because the thing is, you don't become the customers effectively. You become the product, and you're the product that I basically sell to Google in order to get the money to fund the channel. That is really how it works, and I really do not like that. And I also don't like how Google ads work. I don't like the fact that they track you. And I think that, to be honest, if I'm completely honest and I hold my hands up, it's a bit of a harsh truth to admit. I think I'm being a hypocrite about it. I think that me funding, like, the thing is, of course, I'm self-employed. Every time I take time off to do something, I lose money. So, don't think me a money grubber just because I'm putting money so centrally here in this particular conversation. But it is something that I've got to factor in, and when I take time off work, that means I've got to do that. I've got to recuperate it some way. The good news is that it takes only a very small Patreon to actually recuperate the losses made from advertising. It is. I was approached, like, YouTube creators. I don't know if there's like a minimum number of subscribers to be approached for this, but there was I was approached to sign a special contract, a special, like, a terms of agreements for Google and YouTube that would allow more, allow me more analytics on you guys, and I declined it, just so you know, because the basic analytics for YouTube is more than enough for me. All I need to know is whether or not you watch videos, view counts are enough, and minutes watched are enough. And it really did get me thinking, yeah, I am a hypocrite for effectively letting Google mine you for information just so I can fund this channel, and it makes me feel really uncomfortable, because you're not the consumer, you're the product, and that's kind of, it's pretty, I don't know, it feels a little sociopathic, if I'm honest, you know what I mean? So it's something I've been struggling with, it's something I've been thinking about, and I'm strictly forbidden by multiple contracts to talk about how much I make from YouTube, which is why YouTubers don't say, and they're not allowed to say, because different countries make different amounts of money and all this kind of stuff. But it won't take much of a Patreon effort to recuperate the money I make from like, only a handful of people have to donate like $1 a month or something like that for me to make up the difference of, so only a small fraction of people have to put in a small amount of money for it to even even come out, and I'd never ask anyone to spend money they couldn't afford on it either. That would be highly unethical, and I'm really just looking at the best way to do this ethically more than anything else, and independently of YouTube as well. I think that, you know, I don't want to rely on a Google platform. I want to be as independent as possible. So so it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. But I 100% guarantee nothing will ever be behind a paywall. Like, you will never be denied anything that I make, because you cannot afford it. That is something, again, that to me is just as unethical as the other way of doing it. So you know, I've been struggling with it a little, but I don't think this channel's good enough for me to then to set up to push a Patreon at this point. So there's that. Google is... The thing is with Google's as bad as Microsoft when it comes to data mining, and Microsoft are getting worse and worse. But the saving grace with Google is that they have contributed back to the Linux kernel, as I understand it, and they've brought quite a lot back to the open source community. They've given us like WebM, they've given us a lot of free fonts, because like open source and free and open source fonts were not really that great, but then Google developed a whole bunch of them, or they paid to develop a whole bunch of them. So I'm quite grateful for that as well. So Google have recontributed a lot more back into the community than Microsoft have. But Google are not a good company. Another way, actually, I thought of that I was investigating to looking at how this channel could be funded was through other sponsorships outside of Google, and I could have done that, but I think that's even worse, because a lot of it would have involved me talking about products like the Geekbox. Is the only hardware product that I've ever talked about, and I did get this as a free review copy. And even getting the Geekbox as a free copy has skewered my review, because I don't talk about the cost of it, because I didn't get it for free, therefore I don't know, I can't really actually assess how much it's worth. If I get paid to talk about stuff, even if I get paid just to include something as a review, it's going to affect my opinion of it, and that sort of underwrites everything that I want this channel to be. So I'm not going to be doing that. I don't think that I'm above that kind of influence, and I don't think anyone is. And I think to think that you are, it may be a bit arrogant, or at least I have to assume. I probably would always put my videos up on YouTube, but I would like to have another option. So if, for example, if I did a Patreon and Patreon sort of gave an increase in the amount of money I had, or even if it just paid for the ads, and then I'd switch the ads off. Oh yeah, that is a very definite thing. Like, the reason I would go to a Patreon would be so that I could turn the ads off the videos. Don't feel bad for using AdBlock, by the way. I'm not going to guilt you into using it. The vast majority of the ad revenue that I get comes from people who are not subscribers, which is kind of interesting. But there you go. I get 3,000 views a day. No, I get more than 3,000 views. It's going on 4,000 views a day now. My local newspaper, which hires like 5 people, they get 8,000 copies of their newspaper sold a week. So I should be able to fund this channel somehow, somewhere. But I don't want to do it through sponsorship, because I don't think that I can keep this channel honest if I do. But again, this is a long-term thing, and I'm going to reassess it maybe probably at the end of the year. And I would never put anything through behind a paywall. So that's just my. But yeah, like if I was funded independently, I could then make these videos available free, in free and open source formats on a separate website. So if you did want to, well, it would make these videos available to people that didn't agree with Google's policies and that didn't use YouTube. So make the videos more accessible. It would allow things as well for things like podcasts and all that kind of stuff. And I do intend on starting a podcast. I am just, I don't know. I just throw in an excuse. I don't know. Busyness, getting around to it, forgetful. I don't know. Like, I will get around to it, I promise. But podcasts are a lot of work. But I do really do want to do one. But if I do a podcast, that then kind of, you know, paying for that is kind of difficult as well. So Patreon would be a good way to do it, I guess. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. Thank you guys very much for showing up. I feel kind of bad now because like 14 people are currently watching, which is quite a lot, and it's kind of you know, I might try and do this more often if I get this kind of activity and this kind of viewership. I will make a concerted effort as well to have a more exciting, at least a more exciting game of Morrowind, if not a more exciting games of stuff in general. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for joining me. I thoroughly enjoyed having a really smart discussion on a wide variety of topics, and I'm incredibly grateful to have such a well-informed and intelligent audience. And just for anyone watching, I know we've been talking a lot of politics tonight, and a lot of people obviously watch streams and they don't comment or whatever. I just want you guys to know that people of all political stripes are welcome here. You know, we'll speak our mind and everything as much as we do, but we'll never, or at least, you know, and I will never, and I assume and hope that everyone watching as well will never, you know, make you feel persecuted or dogpiled or whatever for if you disagree with us, because you are more than welcome to disagree with us. That's kind of how we learn as well. You know, there were, you know, I've changed my mind on a number of issues, European Union being the latest and biggest of them. So, and I'm probably going to change my issue on political things in the future. So you know, and it's only through talking these things with people that disagree with me that we learn. Yes, this is OpenMW. It has ran. You've seen how flawlessly it's ran. It's crashed less than the usual Morrowind, which is pretty interesting. So Google Drive is useful, but that's the thing. And as Stallman says, you know, you just can't trade your rights in for convenience. That's it's not a good way to go. But yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for joining me. It was a lot of fun, and you guys are great, incredibly intelligent and well informed, and I look forward to doing this again. Now I've got to find OBS to turn it off. There you go. Alright, thank you very much. I will see you soon. And I'll do a flashy little outro. Look at that. There we go. Yeah, that's the latest version of OBS that I'm using. It's come with a nice bunch of new features, and I really like it as well. So guys, I've been Chris Ware, and you've been awesome. Toodaloo.